Oh, congratulations, everyone. You've made it. It's time now on Who's Views for the review of the final episode of this series of DisneyWho. I wonder what the scores and the TARDIS doors will be for this one.
RTD's brand new version of the rebooted Doctor Who blubs his way to the end of the finale episode, and so too does the remaining audience. Hello everybody, welcome back to Who's Views. As you can see, I'm here with Paul, I'm here with Third Doctor Ian, I'm here with Jodie. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Yes, we've got to say congratulations everyone, we made it. We made it through. Yes, as Madonna once said, we've made it through. Here we are on the other side, everybody. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you all. Nice.
I think I may weep a little, seeing as though it seems to be the trend.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
God.
How many
times?
Let me see if we can cry 4 times in one episode. That'd be good. Yeah.
Was it just 4?
I don't know. I lost count, Jodie, to be honest.
Yeah, so did we.
I'm glad you were counting. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, we are here to talk about last night's end of season finale, whatever they call it now, Empire of Death. It's nice to see you all in the chat. Welcome. We're going to come to you in a few minutes, but where to start with this part? I mean, let's be mature and let's be grown up.
Do we have to be?
Well, let's be mature. We'll be mature and we'll be grown up about this pile of crap, and we'll talk about it in a mature. I have to say, where to start with this, but I have to say, honest to goodness, this has to be one of the most boring pieces of television I have ever seen in my life, and that's saying something coming from this particular series.
You said it's been rebooted. It's been booted to death. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Well, something needs a kick in anyway.
Yeah.
Probably, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's start where we always start here, shall we? Let's go straight to the overnight on BBC One. And yes, it went up slightly. Empire of Death got an overnight rating on BBC One of 2.25 million. That's 2.25 million. It's still not brilliant. It's still not ideal, but it is an increase. Now, just to put this in context, of course, on the overnights only, episode 1 got 2.60, episode 2 got 2.40, episode 3 got 2.04, episode 4 got 2.62, episode 5 got 2.12, episode 6 got 2.11, and episode 7 got 2.02. So episode 8, 2.25. So it has gone up slightly.
I'm impressed you do that by memory, JT. That's really good.
I'm not. I'm reading it off a script.
Oh,
God. Yeah. So
well,
even though
it's
the
highest out of 8, it's not good for a finale, is it?
Finale.
When you look at the end of Tennant's first tenure, when it was like 10, 11 million or whatever finale, that was breaking records left, right, and centre. And this, it was just an embarrassment. That's. You know, but that's the audience they're reaching for, so they're very pleased with that.
Yeah, well, as I said at the top of the show, there it shows there's millions and millions and millions that didn't bother. Millions and millions have been thrown out there now, haven't they? And you know, it's just goodness me. Oh gosh, you're right, Richard. Richard is saying to me here, JT obviously never watched Flux, no, and I'm very proud to say I never did.
Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me. Hello to Paul Ashworth. Nice to see you. Complete rubbish season. Christopher Benassi is with us saying the end of season twist was that you, the viewer, was a fool for expecting anything to have had any importance or significance. Oh, Russell, you mad little prankster.
He's being very polite there, I think. Yeah. I'm very kind.
Domgo is saying to us the Empire of Jobby. And the Forbidden Man is with us saying they think it's all over. It is now. A very famous saying here in the UK. And Jason's with us, 20th Century Boy. Empire of Death, more like the death of Doctor Who.
Now that is a good episode. Yeah.
Oh,
It
well,
was. Yeah, it's a very good episode.
It's well overdue in my eyes as well. Paul Holgate is saying to us here, you didn't miss anything. And Sean is with us saying, hi, everyone. Wasn't that worth the wait? I can detect the irony in that one as well. Mark is with us, our resident poet laureate, a real tearjerker. And
Not a dry seat in the house, yeah.
No, for different reasons. And when they took Sutek for a walk, says Stephen, I burst out laughing at Sutek, the god of death. We will be getting into that because I know the guys all want to talk about that stuff. Hello to Noel Thrussell. It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here. Anima Mundi 641 is always saying there's a twist at the end, except when there isn't. Well, that's a very good point.
Or a proper resolution. Yeah.
Don't get me onto that end. Oh, well, we are going to come to that, so I'm sorry. Pooh's Lost Eyes is saying everything pointed to the trickster. I wonder if Gareth Roberts didn't let them use him at the last minute. And Hartnell's Ghost is saying, who knew there were no spoons?
Yeah, that one.
What was this about? Did he save the universe with a dessert spoon? What was this?
That really upset me because like there's so many rooms in the TARDIS and they have so many things in the TARDIS, and that was just the most ludicrous plot line.
And seriously. The seventh Doctor played the spoons. There must be a spare set in the TARDIS somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But very good
Call
point.
yourself a Doctor Who fan, RTD, for goodness sake.
Shocking.
I don't know where we got to, because one minute it was sitting in the memory TARDIS or whatever it's called. And the next minute we're on that alien planet. And I just thought, have I missed a scene? Did I nod off?
No, it was just
no, I nodded off.
It was a hot mess. It was just a hot mess. It was just blah. No, there was nothing to understand because it was just complete drivel.
Yeah. It was typical, however, of part twos of RTD's stories, isn't it? It sort of it fell down so flat and hard. And we've got to remember as well that he came up with this idea for a story when he was a kid, how Sutek would survive by grabbing hold of the TARDIS and becoming one with the TARDIS.
God, he had so little imagination then for a child. Children normally have really cool stories.
Oh yeah, Richard Hussey is saying to us here, look, they need Uri Geller as the next Doctor. He'd sort a few spoons out, wouldn't he? I just don't get where and who was that and what was it about, and oh my God, it was just so awful, wasn't it? The writing was just awful, and he kept saying honey and all this sort of stuff as well, didn't he? And
to be fair, that was minimal compared to the endless crying.
Oh God, yeah.
That was.
It was starting to become it was like a running joke with the family.
Yeah, it was a running joke as well. Yeah, what are we saying there, Paul?
I was Doctor Who now sponsored by Andrex. Other tissues are available. Yeah.
I just don't get it. I mean,
some of them will be using the tissues for. It was embarrassing, wasn't it? It really, really, really was embarrassing, and it was you're left shortchanged as well, aren't you? Because that 2-bit hack has come back, and he's just served up again the same resolution that he's served up countless times before. It was just a reset. Everything went back to as it was. And you know he's going to do it. So when anybody dies in it, they're just going to come back again. There's no tension. There's no shock. There's no risk. There's no drama. And I think in one of the previous shows, we'd said he will most likely do some kind of reset. And there he is, doing a reset yet again. Whilst
how many times is that now?
Behind the mystery machine.
Is that 3 or 4 times he's pressed the button? Yeah. It's a lot though, isn't it? How to do it? I mean, it's a case there of sheer laziness and bad writing, lack of imagination, as you say, Jode, as well. But also for me, as I said last week, this was the moment I've been dreading since 2005. They bring back one of the most iconic baddies in Doctor Who history and screw it up.
They made it a dog.
He's a dog. Sutek is now a dog. He's not a bloomin' dog. He's a siren.
I'm actually slightly upset because it's kind of ruined Pyramids of Mars in a way for me.
No, don't let it.
That was a re-edit, did that, Jodie. So.
but it's like I'll never be able to watch Pyramids of Mars now without thinking, God, that bloody awful repeat Sutek. Yeah. Jeez.
That's a good point here.
Down.
Yeah. As Jack is saying to us here, though, it's okay, everyone. RTD is promising the greatest series ever next year.
What again?
Oh, we can't wait.
Yeah.
Hello. The best finale ever, though. He said it was going to be the biggest ever. How? What? There was nothing in that backed up what that buffoon was saying. Nothing at all.
We're all seeing through that now, though, because it's the same all the time for him, isn't it? I'd just like to say hello to High Desert 004, pure rubbishy rubbish. Thank you for that. And also, I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody that has been in touch since Friday at the whosviews1@gmail.com email as well, and also some messaging. So I'd like to say hello to Lee, problem being, Bobby D75, Simon, to Andrea T. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. To John and Dino V. Thank you so much. Some of your stuff that will be in this particular show, and I'll hold some of the other stuff over into others. You'll have to keep with us because we've had an awful lot. Listen, Andy's saying to us here, the Sun reported a massive backlash on Twitter. Just stay with us because we are going to be coming to that. We're going to be coming to that very shortly because there has been a fan backlash. I nearly threw up my Weetabix this morning when I started all this. Honestly, I was just like, what? They're all going blah, blah, blah. And for once, if they're coming to speak to us and they're here, you're very welcome. Hello, subscribe to the channel because you are very, very welcome to come and be with us. Rather than,
I was going to say something before we get more into Sutek. Was the opening part when they all fired on Sutek? I couldn't believe that. Russell T Davies made such a big thing about the sonic screwdriver being looking like a gun, and they've got a 13-year-old with a Segway with machine guns on it.
Yeah.
Will that not encourage children to use firearms?
Well, you'd think if they were going to give him machine guns, they'd give him the very first primary rule, which is watch where you're pointing it. Because if you look at the wider angle, he's shooting straight into the back of the unit soldier stood in front of him.
Yeah. Oh, is he really?
It doesn't matter. He's going to come back to life anyway. It's fine.
Well, I was bored by that point, Ian, so I didn't even notice any of the angles or stuff. Hello to Penny Pitstop. I liked it apart from 3 bits, the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Penny, I have to say, the one bit my kids and I were both like, oh, was Kate. That was it.
When Kate died.
That was the one bit that got us.
Do you know, it didn't for me. It didn't for me because I knew they were going to come back. I just thought
it
was not going to happen.
Too, but I just hoped
no drama.
He wouldn't do the reset again because it's like.
I didn't. I mean, when I saw these people turning to this now famous dust thing, which is tied in, I think, with something to do with pyramids. I don't know, but here we go, and I'm thinking, don't get too worried about this, people. It's going to be reversed somehow. He's going to do the Superman the movie thing yet again, isn't he? And get something
but it was
done.
good in Superman because it was original.
It was good in Superman. Thomas Jobling, nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. I've not seen you here with us before, but there was a spoon because RTD couldn't give a fork.
That is a good one.
Did everyone love the fantastic line, Sutek's dust of death? I mean, really? They should have looked at that in the editing. Dust of death. Goodness sake.
Dust of death. I mean,
they make Sutek sound like a cleaning person, you know.
Why couldn't they just keep the gift of death and make it a little bit more sinister? Lynn is saying to us, well, it is. And that's why everybody comes back to life. Lynn, not to mention the screaming into the void, eek. Mike Disney is with us as well, saying hello all. And Sutek is the new Andrex dog, says Pooh's Lost Eyes. Wild Hunter is saying cries like a baby and screams like a baby too. It was at that point that I really, really desperately thought the Doctor wouldn't do that. He wouldn't stand and in self-pity at the front of the TARDIS doors and scream into time and space. He would just get on with doing something, wouldn't he? He would say something. He would do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't think?
Definitely.
I think trying to show his emotional range. The problem is he hasn't got any.
I think I'm blaming the writing completely. I'm blaming the writing because there was some acting from Ncuti Gatwa, I think, in this episode. I don't believe it was the Doctor. I still haven't seen the Doctor there, but there was something. There was some acting in there. But I just thought, especially when he was crying and he was breaking down and he's at the front of the TARDIS and he's screaming, I just thought that's not the Doctor. Paul, thank you so much. Paul Ashworth has just given us £5 here. Who would the panel like to see as the next Doctor and the next showrunner?
Anybody else?
Yeah. Personally, I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I'd like to rewind the way Russell loves to do, and go back to Peter Capaldi and hope somehow it can be saved, because this is awful. This is absolutely awful. I thought it couldn't be worse, but wow, he's gone for it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, my kids both said it's not his fault. He's been told to act it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually agree. I think he's been told. I mean, Russell has confirmed. If you haven't seen this, Who viewers, Russell has confirmed he wanted this version of the Doctor to be more emotional, and the reason he gave was so ridiculous. The Doctor has to be more emotional now and more in tune with those feelings that a Time Lord shouldn't have, because he's a Time Lord and not a human being. Because Russell T Davies thinks it's okay for the kids to have that, the children to have all that, so that they know that they can think about it as well. Just very quickly as well, just to say a huge thank you also to Hugh Janus, who's just given us £5. Thank you so much, Hugh Janus. I know Kirsty likes me saying that. Can somebody explain why Shooty didn't tell Ruby who Tom Baker was? It didn't seem right to me. Well, that whole scene, as we sort of touched on Friday in headlines, ties into that whole memory of the TARDIS thing on the re-edited awful version of Pyramids of Mars, doesn't it? So you've got them in that same scene, and Mel's over there having a nap.
Yeah. Mel thought, I'll stare at this because it's crap, you know. So, I have to say, Bonnie Langford was the best thing in it. She was superb. The bit she had to do, I have to say. She was really good.
Underused yet again.
Yeah.
She was really good, though.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie Knight's just given us £5. Thank you, Jamie. Really appreciate that. I am the ham. I am the bacon. I am the wafer-thin, honey-glazed multi-pack of terror. I am Gammon, destroyer of franchises. Brilliant, Jamie. So thank you guys for all that. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I was going to say was about Bonnie Langford. The bit I really liked, and it was a bit sort of fan service, but I really liked when she held up Colin Baker's sleeve and looked at it lovingly. That was really nice. I like that. That was nice. Yeah,
that was that nice touch, isn't it? Because that's the whole thing. I still don't understand this whole gimmick of the memory TARDIS now, and now it's in the main show as well. So let me get this right, Who viewers. There are now 3 TARDISes in the same place at the same time. There is the normal one, there's the memory TARDIS, and then there's, of course, the Tennant TARDIS, which still has Sutekh in it. Explain that one, RTD. We just forget that. It's down the road. That one. Sutekh's in that one as well.
Why was Sutekh waiting so long to get his own back? That seems an awful long time since 1975, wasn't it? Really? I mean, God almighty.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that it's just become so impossibly challenging to follow, and actually not much fun either. I just want a story. I just want a proper story. I don't really care anymore. I just don't want this convoluted hot mess that I can't really get engaged with because it's so confusing.
I think you're going to have a long wait, because this is what's going to continue into the next series, of course, because that's done and dusted. And as I've said before, I reckon they must be sitting in a dark room somewhere, shaking. Because, what's happening? Why are the millions not there? Why are they not listening to us? Why are they not doing what they're telling us to do and watching this show?
When he started, Justin, he actually did take into consideration the classic series, and he did try, although he failed on some occasions, and I won't get into that because there's bits of the new Who that I didn't like, but he did try to take into account what had gone before, and he tried to pay homage to it in his own way. It just didn't always hit right, but he did try. He's now believes his own press, and he's an absolute bloody megalomaniac who thinks he's the best writer since ever. And sadly, he really isn't. He's really not that good.
Nope.
And I think this exposes it completely.
I totally agree. When I was making the bed this morning, Joe, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, hang on a minute, he's given us the same things over and over again. In this series, we've just seen packages. We've mentioned the term greatest hits before on this show. It has been a little bit of a greatest hits for him. It's not the same now. He's too busy with his messaging and his agendas and pushing that all in. We had a little bit more of that in Empire of Death as well, very unnecessarily. There's all that coming through, and when you think about it now, it seems like he's a one-hit wonder. He knows how to write the soap stuff, and that's it, isn't it?
He's forgotten what made it magical for him as a child, and that's the bit I find unforgivable, actually. That's the unforgivable bit. You have forgotten the core of Doctor Who and why it was so magical for so many people, and why it actually was a cult, in a sense, for so many people. And he's just rubbished all over that.
A healthy one, I have to say. Just Jordan's here. Hope your dad's with us as well. We had tears and tantrums, bloody screaming in the TARDIS while the Earth dies. Exactly. Yeah, it was. Yeah. But oh God, that's if he thinks that's all right to show the kids because that's how the kids act, then God help us, because we're going to have another generation of spoilt brats. Terrified Monk is saying there is no Tom Baker, only Zool. Ben Casey is saying to us here as well, I liked Mel acting. She was the best part.
Oh, she was amazing.
Yeah, Bonnie's wonderful. Andy is saying to us exactly, he's not the Doctor. Robert's with us. Hello, Robert. He wouldn't let Sutek blame him for the actions of Sutek. Yep, that's fine there. And Sean's with us as well, saying, if it cries like a baby and screams like a baby, then it's a baby. Fair point. JFO saying the BBC are ashamed of the 12 white men playing the Doctor. Okay, that's it was in there somewhere. And Jack is saying, I clap when the Disney Doctor called out Pyramids of Mars for its nasty cultural appropriation. Finally. Yeah, there's something that we've all been waiting for the last 50 years, isn't it? And that really annoyed me. Cybernaut is with us saying, hello, Cybernaut. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. It depends on which Doctor. I could see some doctors screaming into the void. Could you? What do you guys think about that? I can't personally.
No, I don't. They're not in the same way. They might have played upset, but it would have been completely differently done. And also, that's what made it the Doctor, because he didn't do things the way a human would.
Exactly.
I'd like to say that Kirsty's with us now. Hello.
Hello, darlings. I made it home.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. It's good to see you.
You got your spoon.
You got a spoon as well. Connor's with us as well, Kirsty. Kirsty's obviously in the chat with us as well. I agree, shooty acting was good, but not the Doctor. Kirsty, I'm going to come and ask you what your initial impressions of this was last night. Daryl is with us as well. Daryl Joyce, nice to see you. In this era, we need strong heroes, not emotional wrecks. That's a brilliant point, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We definitely do need strong heroes, but there's a problem with that. Strong heroes are problematic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Possibly too masculine?
They see that as toxic, don't they? Not realizing, of course, that the toxicity is them.
Well, and they've made everything into that as well. Don't let me forget, I do want to come back to that cultural appropriation thing that was just mentioned there as well. And I want to say hello and welcome to Who's Views, to Up Close and Acoustic, hosted by Charlie Silvestri. Nice to see you. A long-time watcher, but a first-time commentator. Commentator, reboot from Husbands of River Song, all else can be ignored. And the sense of the series. So you go to, I can't remember what comes after that, and I can't really remember that one either because it was Christmas. But it could be a good
when
start.
Bill came into it, wasn't it? After that.
Oh, is that right? Right? Okay. Oh, in that case, then probably.
Yeah, because that was when all the "Did you not know I'm gay?" and I'd be honoured to be
Wait
a
a minute.
woman and all that kind of.
She wasn't gay, was she?
Oh.
Apparently, I'd heard on somebody had tweeted somewhere that there was a rumour.
Absolutely ridiculous. And we've got here Richard is saying to us, Russell culturally appropriates better monsters and ideas from the past. He's a plunderer, not a writer. Kirsty, did you pick up on this as well? Because this line in the memory TARDIS, that really annoyed me. I thought, oh, there it is. There it is. There's the bit where he has to get that in, where he's having a dig at I mean, he's British, for crying out loud, and here he is making a dig at the Brits. Why is it with these overt liberals, Kirst?
It's just another thing to call that he's just kissed the ass of people that are like culture appropriation. That if you dress up with a feather headband, or you appreciate you get hair braids, or you appreciate another culture, that's bad. He's just ticking other boxes. It was just another thing that just made me absolutely furious. I'm still human, and I watched it Friday night. I am still livid.
What got you so tense about it?
He tickled our balls for nothing, and he's a talentless hack that I can understand getting kind of drum up for your program, but you did not stick the landing at all. You've just taken copies from Avengers and Doctor Strange with the CGI, and the SAT was pretty much basically a budget version of Thanos' snap. The Mrs. Flood thing, that did my nut in as well, because things they can take their time, they can brew to eventually to evolve, but that was just, please stick around so you can watch season 2, so we'll tell you, or possibly tell you, who Mrs. Flood is. Ruby's mum, the whole thing, you've done that before with Martha being special, being a normal person, being special, spreading the word of the Doctor Jesus kind of thing. That you've done that before. I was hoping that she was going to be someone special. I knew he was probably going to go with a whole Star Wars and copy that as well, and be Rey Palpatine and being something like that. But I was hoping and seeing something good in them. that maybe she was going to be a god of something, a daughter of something, and be special. That was an absolute bloody letdown. I'm absolutely just, I'm fizzing. Like, that was not Doctor Who. Like, I messaged my dad and went, I wouldn't even bother. Like, I'm livid. I was like, keep your periods in Mars and stroke it like a cat, because that's
absolutely,
it's been absolute the proverbial.
Well, Stephen was here. Stephen Braddock was here. The whole cultural appropriation of Egyptian iconography had me spitting feathers. I just don't understand why that one little line mumbled by Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. Again, it's a Time Lord. Allegedly it's supposed to be a Time Lord. He wouldn't care. The Doctor, the Time Lords wouldn't care about all this. What's what I'm trying to say? The politics of this that's going on right now. Of people saying that's cultural appropriation, that's this and that, and it has no place in Doctor Who. It has no place there. Can you imagine any of the original doctors saying that, or even the reboot doctors up to Whittaker? None of them would bring it in, because he's just jumped on another extreme liberal bandwagon.
Isn't there a suggestion in Primrose of Mars, a bit like Death of the Daleks, that the Sirens were perhaps influenced the Egyptians and that kind of thing, so that kind of crossover rather than it being the other way around?
Yeah, totally. We've got this from Matthew. All right, La, he's saying exactly what I think. RTD is a bad soap opera writer trying to write science fiction. That was shocking. That the whole Sutekh seemed to be forgotten very quickly and got rid of, just so we could get to this soap opera element that he's very good at. You know, he knows how to write these things about these people with all these problems and stuff like that.
Does he though?
Well, to an extent. I think it is to an extent. It's not my sort of thing, but I'd rather he went off and did other stuff than Doctor Who, because I can't stand all this continual soap opera stuff. You know, it was pretty obvious that we were going to have another Martha situation here, where the companion temporarily leaves the TARDIS and goes off to do something else. But it just didn't make any sense. And I found the last, 15, 20 minutes of this episode thinking, what? You've just brought back one of the biggest, baddest villains ever, ruined him completely, and then you got rid of him with a spoon or something. Something happened there. I don't understand. The time vortex or something like Sutekh was in the time vortex anyway, wasn't he? Wasn't that the whole point of the story, the series? He was traveling with the TARDIS within the time.
That was the problem. The story didn't actually make any sense at all.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. No.
Who the Susan Twist thing, the Susan whatever her name is, Triad, whatever her name is. I don't understand that either. What's happening with her? She wasn't Susan, but she's been created by Sutekh. You know, so and why was Sutekh afraid of Ruby's real mother?
Yeah, and why
did it snow? What's going on? I don't know.
Yes. Why was it snowing? Why would Sutekh care that he couldn't see one particular human being who he should have squashed immediately? I don't know. I'm getting a migraine.
There is another explanation.
Go on.
The other explanation is we're all thick.
Oh, that'll be it.
Well, we might have something here that can help us, everyone. Before we do that, let's go to James Famuk, who is saying it's so very convoluted, saying Sutekh has been on the TARDIS since forever, yet all the times the TARDIS has exploded or died, etc. And that's a very good point, actually, isn't it? It's just I've put your hands up in the chat if you found it confusing, because I certainly did. And let's go to an article we've got today, if I can find it on my list. I've got so many things for us to go through here, everybody, today, but this might help us all. This is from the Radio Times. Doctor Who, the Empire of Death ending explained. How was Sutekh defeated? Yes, how did the Doctor undo the power of the dust of death? Now it comes to something. We lost him. It comes to something when you have to either go to a secondary TV show and explain something, or you have to write about it in an article at the Radio Times. So let's have a look at this, everyone, and see what you make of this. It's finally here. An Empire of Death had a whole heap of questions to answer after last week's episode of Doctor Who left our heroes at the mercy of Sutekh, the almighty Titan. How would the Doctor defeat a god-like being who is now far more powerful than when they last met? Was Susan Triad simply another harbinger for Sutekh or something more? And would Ruby Sunday finally unmask her birth mother? Oh, God, you know, I really don't care. The answer to all of these lies below, so read on. So let's get on with it. Firstly, how did Sutekh survive? Now, at this point, I have to tell you that it goes on an awful lot about Pyramids of Mars and answers the question how he survived that. It's waffle. It's absolute nonsense. So let's crack on. Sutekh appeared to age rapidly and eventually perish, as the 15th Doctor recalls in the Empire of Death. I cast you into the time vortex. I sent you forward to your own death. Instead, I found a home, Sutekh explains. I clung to your infernal machine, and for so many years I hid. I have traveled with you for all this time, riding the spine of your ship, staring into eternity and evolving into my true godhood. It appears that Sutekh has had a grip on the TARDIS ever since the events of Pyramids of Mars, existing as a silent, malevolent companion to the Doctor all this time and accompanying the Time Lord on his travels. Did that answer that question?
No.
No, it didn't. It really didn't. And again, it's just ridiculous. It's not always been there all the time.
Yeah. Lazy.
Yeah. Continues.
Talentless.
What was that?
Talentless hack.
Yeah. Well, how was Sutekh defeated? It says in this, now unleashed, an evolved Sutekh uses the being that was once Susan Triad to unleash his dust of death, a horrific substance that extinguishes all life it comes into contact with, starting with Kate Stewart and all the unit personnel, followed by Ruby's adopted mother, Carla's mother, Cherry, and the enigmatic Mrs. Flood. The dust continues to spread until it has consumed all life on Earth and eventually the universe. Sutekh reigns over his empire of death, but the god of all gods has an Achilles heel, his curiosity. Oh dear, of course. Like the rest of us, Sutekh is unable to see the face of Ruby Sunday's mother and is determined to learn her identity, even keeping the Doctor and Ruby alive as long as it takes to get the answers. Having used the DNA testing program established in 2046 by the sinister Prime Minister Roger ap Gwilym, that was to finally establish a familiar link, Ruby, transported alongside the Doctor to Unit HQ, teases Sutekh with the reveal of her mother's name, distracting the Osiran just long enough to gain the advantage. Ruby lassos Sutekh with intelligent rope. Recovered earlier from the time windows, remembered TARDIS, a version of the craft made of memories, and held together by hopes and wishes and luck. I think I might spew up in a minute. While the Doctor uses a whistle, also found in the remembered TARDIS, to unleash the heart of the TARDIS, vanquish Sutekh's harbinger, and regain control of the ship. Can you tell I'm bored? Taking flight, the TARDIS drags Sutekh into the vortex, where the Doctor unleashes his own inner monster and leaves his nemesis to die trapped. Sutekh burns up in the vortex, apparently gone for good this time. How did everyone come back to life? Sutekh was defeated. Well, it said in the script. Sutekh was defeated, but what about the horrors he'd unleashed across the universe? Happily, by dragging Sutekh into the vortex, the pathway to all of time and space, the Doctor is able to bring death to death and so bring life. In effect, Sutekh kills the death he had already wrought, and life is restored across the universe, with everyone who'd perished, that was everybody basically across the universe, all revived. Who was Susan Twist's character? Having invaded the TARDIS, Sutekh was exposed to all of the ship's secrets, including memories of Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter. Inspired, the Osiran created an apparition of her universally. A woman who resembled Sutekh was brought into existence anywhere the TARDIS landed, with the combined might of Sutekh's power and the TARDIS's perception filter, enabling the woman's various guises to be birthed as real beings who fitted into history. If the TARDIS landed in the same spot more than once, e.g. Earth in 2024, then the woman who would be reborn each time getting stronger and stronger with each reincarnation. Hence why the latest iteration, Susan Triad, was a genius and world-renowned tech entrepreneur. Post Sutekh's defeat, Susan Triad continues to exist, her history, life and family intact. As Mel explains, the god of death created life.
Sorry?
It's possible we haven't seen the last of this Susan either, with Kate noting that her very good brain could be put to use as Unit's latest recruit.
I'm with the third Doctor there, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right, who picked up any of that in this episode?
Well, yeah, but it just when you make up a story, there has to be a lore. and he just ignores all the lore and just makes up random nonsense. I'm trying not to swear here. Random nonsense that just is ridiculously strung together and just so bloody talentless, as Kirsty said.
Yeah,
it's contrived nonsense. It's claptrap.
Totally contrived.
Who Janus has given us £5. Thank you, Hugh. Nice to see you. Thank you for that again. How was the DNA collected in 2046 when everyone died from the current year?
Time loop, obviously.
Timey-wiminess, obviously.
But you're right. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, when you go back to pyramids, and it was explained brilliantly there, if Sutekh had won back in 1911, Sarah wouldn't have been around in 1980 because her 1980 was gone.
Yeah.
So therefore, here we are in the alleged 2024, or this version of 2024. Sutekh destroyed not just Earth, but as he always promised to do, the entire universe. So you're right. 2046 wouldn't have existed.
But that's the problem. He doesn't think anything through, and everything he does can just be fixed by this ridiculous timey-wimey nonsense.
Do you know what?
So there's no tension.
There's no tension at all. No,
they shouldn't be doing this sort of story when it doesn't make sense. They're just doing it for clicks and bells and whistles, aren't they? That's it. It's
he has
totally
admitted
nonsense.
that, hasn't he? He has admitted that he's more interested in making social media commentary than actually tying loose ends up, and he knows it winds people up. But what he's not getting is it's actually bad writing.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that really, really irritates me about this idiot is that he says one thing and doesn't stick to it, or immediately contradicts himself. So, Chris Chibnall is one of his best buddies, and he made it very, very clear that he is not going to retcon any of that atrocity that Chibnall inflicted on us. And yet, again, this episode, there's Gatwa saying that he was a Time Lord, the last of the Time Lords. Well, if you're sticking with Chibnall's narrative, no, he's bloody not. He's not a Time Lord. The end. He took that away from him.
Yeah.
But he's throwing planet names in at the end when all the planets were restored and everything. Davies is chucking all these planet names in because they're planet names he knows that he can just write in because he's a fan, and everything. And he's throwing all these planet names in, and Skaro obviously was one of those. And was it Telos as well was in there?
Yeah, Telos was in there, yeah.
And the Ood Sphere.
Calufrax of all
Calufrax. Calufrax was a segment of the Key to Time, shrunk down to small size by the planet Zanuck under the control of the captain. The Doctor never went to Calufrax. So how did Sutekh ever get there?
But also, when the segments of the Key to Time were redispersed, it wouldn't necessarily have gone back to being Calufrax because he only saved one segment, and we won't mention it in case people haven't seen it yet. Because we are having lots and lots of new people join us, which is fantastic. If you haven't seen the Key to Time season, go and watch it.
It's much better than the crap we've just watched. That's for sure.
Much better.
The other thing, because I'm on a roll, is again, he's so far. If Davis stopped suddenly, Chibnall's head would have gone halfway up anyway. They were so stuck together that he wasn't retconning everything. In which case, most of the universe is gone. Flux. There's not much left. The flux got all the way to
you've
Earth.
said that before, yes.
Yeah, there was, and he referenced that again in that second bloody special bollocks thing that there was. That's probably my swearing limit for YouTube today, isn't it? That second one where he was referencing flux and the fact that it had happened. And I don't know whether he took it back to half the universe, but in flux, it was most of it. And it stopped at Earth because of the ships of the Calvinista that were protecting it on the outside and whatever contrived crap that was. But now the universe is here again. Is it? Is Chibnall retconned or isn't he? Is he a Time Lord or isn't he? Or doesn't he bloody well know?
I don't think he cares.
No.
I mean, what he seems to be doing here is writing by numbers, Ian. It seems to go, I've done that before, and I've done that before. Oh, I've got a bit more money, I can do this now. Oh, I like that villain, I can do this now. Richard is, Steve Black is saying Mrs. Flood will be the great intelligence. We've done that one, haven't we?
Yeah, we've done
and Richard
that one,
Hussey is another one they brought back for no reason at all. Richard Hussey is saying, can somebody explain why Sutekh thought Ruby's mother was so important? Well, actually, yes, apparently. We'll come to that in a second. Don't let me forget, because we've got a bit more to talk about. But Radio Times have also answered that question for you, Richard. So we'll come to that in a second. And don't let me forget, guys, please.
Why did it snow? Does anyone know why it snowed? Any idea why it snowed?
Why did it? I have no idea. But David is saying to us, David Long is here saying, explain. I can't. My head aches because it didn't make any sense at all. Deidre is with us also explaining what the show failed to do. And Paul Richards is saying, how can everything in the universe come back to life by dragging Sutek through the time vortex? And as explained in the Radio Times, especially when that's where he's been for the last, 4 decades. He's been there for 30 years, 50 years nearly. I don't know, wherever we are.
Well, it depends how you measure. If you measure by 1975, it's that kind of time, but it's probably millions of years, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, of course it is. Yeah, you're right. And all the stuff that the Doctor's been through, it just, again, it's convenient writing. Oh, I'll just say it's done this. It doesn't make any sense at all in the narrative of the character and the narrative of the show. Mind you, neither did the gender swap. JFO, RTD, Ways of Defeating Gods, Toymaker defeated by Catch, Maestro defeated by a piano, and Sutek defeated by Intelligent Robe. These are gods. You're absolutely right, JFO.
I wish they dropped the piano and Maestro. That'd be more entertaining, I would have thought. But
yeah. Jamie Nice is saying to us here, I will accept the odd plot hole. I think we all do, don't we? Because that's what happens occasionally. Or hand waving or error, but it was like RTD was holding his own beer and upped his own ante by 100%. Totally agree with you. Absolutely right. You could almost feel it coming through, couldn't you? It was just ridiculous. Revisiting the 73 yards future, Benassi, was pointless too. It provided no further explanation of that episode and didn't tie in with this finale in any relevant way. This is the problem as well when you're trying to do this so much stuff here in only 8 episodes, effectively 8 hours. You can't do it. God knows what's going to happen in the next one. How many threads is he carrying to Christmas?
Well, to be fair, Justin, he could have done it if he was actually able to write. He could have. That's the problem. And I'm going to be honest here. If it hadn't been for this program, I'd have stopped watching because Flux, I'm actually completely ignorant of what you were talking about there, Ian, because I stopped watching Flux. It was so bad. I couldn't actually watch it. I just was like, I don't want to see one of my favorite things ever destroyed. But I've now seen it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's not say Flux too often. That'll be picked up by the YouTube being a swear word, so be very careful of that.
We've also got here Unknown is joining us. Nice to see you. Now we have 2 Suteks in TARDIS 14 and TARDIS 15. Absolutely, that's what I was thinking when I was watching this. I think there's 3 of the 3 versions of the same TARDIS from the same time period in the same place. That shouldn't happen. There should be something going on there within time. You know, I'm sure we've had stories about this before. Day of the Daleks, Mordrin Undead, wherever we're looking at, there must be a version of the Blinovitch limitation effect for the TARDIS.
Yeah. I think that expression is called jumping the shark. I think is the expression we need to go with. Yeah.
Even in Day of the Doctor, when we had the 3 side by side, they were very wary of having them side by side for so long. You know, Daryl is saying to us as well, why is a 15-year-old pointing dramatically at lamppost and road sign when nobody's there to care?
Yeah, that really bothered everyone that was watching with me. That was like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Why is Mum so enigmatic? She wants to be enigmatic when she gets rid of her child. How does that work? You know?
The last thing you're going to do is point at a bloody road sign.
But the first thing you do, Jodie, sorry, Kirsty, say again.
Well, you're going to name your child, instead of bloody pointing at the sign, leave a note saying,
yes,
her name, with the baby, her name is Ruby.
Yeah.
That's exactly
so
she could have been called anything. You don't know what she's pointing at. You know, lamppost. That was it. Yeah.
The first thing you do as a 15-year-old that has had a baby and is leaving it at a church, though, of course, is before you do any of that, go out and buy a lovely, lovely hooded veil and all this sort of stuff. A lovely hooded so nobody can see you.
And walk casually because you want to get caught, don't you? But I mean, what?
I look like you're an episode of Traitors as well.
Yeah. I mean, what's going to happen now, RTD, when you watch this back, of course, because I know you do. When you watch this, what's going to happen now, of course, is we're going to have more 15-year-old young ladies dropping babies, and they will go out and buy a lovely, lovely hooded top thing, leave babies at churches, and then walk mysteriously away, wondering if they're going to be part of a science fiction narrative. It's all going to be there.
On CCTV pointing, and then the local authority will turn up and say, let's call that child Dog Bin.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you'll be on X and hounded. Raymond Williams is saying to us, all right, Raymond, was Susan Twist the same Susan Twist in 73 yards? Was it the same Susan Twist that survived in 2046? F knows. The world destroyed in 2024, but he travels to 2046 to get access to the DNA database. None of it made any sense.
He might explain that later on, mightn't he?
Yeah, next year.
Well, I think he'll have a go.
He'll have a go, yeah.
He might explain it in series 3 when that comes along. Andrew Dexter is saying to us here, how many Sutek were there when the Time Lords returned? How many Suteks were there when the Time Lords returned? Oh, I see what you mean. So when the Time Lords came back, so he would have been aware of that. He would have been aware of the Time War. Oh, my head's aching.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is just absolutely nonsense, isn't it? Why doesn't Sutek get killed when the TARDIS breaks up on Frontios? Ooh, good question. Michael Q is saying, come on, Sutek, time for Wookiees. All the dogs in the land are picked up there on that particular one. It's great to see you all in the chat. You are really, really busy tonight. Keep this coming. It really is fantastic. Unless I'm wrong, says Noodle Arms, Sutek never had physical contact with the TARDIS. How did he get on board? The way I look at that is it was implied that because Sutek was in the time corridor, even though we know he was dead, and the TARDIS entered the time corridor shortly after, somehow, he managed to grab hold of something to do with it. Bear in mind, this has all come from Russell T Davies when he was a kid, and he had this vision and a drawing of Sutek grabbing hold of the police box.
Do you remember when Captain Jack had on the police box? Did Sutek just move round so there's plenty of room for both of them to be on it?
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is he keeps stealing things, and I get that every writer steals stuff. I do get that, but he's so obvious.
Yeah,
like that dust thing is the dust cloud from the Mummy, isn't it?
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and the Mummy was done so well. So all you think is, geez, I wish the writer of the Mummy had written this episode, and that there were mummies.
We definitely need a lot more writers. And I know there's various people out there. Our favorite journalist, of course, who we're not going to talk about today because I've got a headache enough as it is. But she's going to be going on, you mean more diversity and you need more inclusion. I just want good science fiction writers that understand Doctor Who, please. Let's bring them in.
Hello, and also, why did they change the colour of the eyes glowing? Why?
I don't know. Because they.
I mean, I know it's minor in the scheme of things, but it did bug me.
Well, if it bothers you, it bothers you, doesn't it? I mean, do you know what bothered me? The whole bloody thing. I was there. Thank you for that. Welcome to Catherine Reed. Welcome to you. When he said, "Now I must become a monster," I thought he was going to regenerate into a straight white male.
I'm hoping for the same, but no joy there.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, thank you to Hugh. Thank you, Hugh, for giving us another £5. You're very generous. Thank you so much. How was the DNA collected in 2046 when everyone died in current year? I am behind with you all in the chat here, but yeah, I think we're talking about that, aren't we? It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been. But thank you, Hugh. That's really good of you. We've got here Connor. Imagine if somebody teased a week ago, expect a dog whistle, a dog collar to be important parts. You'd have thought they were joking. Do you know what? I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have done, because anything goes in this new version of DisneyWho, doesn't it? And that was just utter nonsense. It really, really, really was. It was just ridiculous. Marine Boy 1966 is saying to us, a prediction, Series 3 won't get made, never mind it being commissioned, but if it does, it won't be shown on BBC One, but we're relegated to BBC 3 or just Disney if they still want it. I have to say, I have no doubt at all there will be a third year. I think we should all, as fans, I know that's been a big conversation this week. Oh, is there going to be a third year? I am absolutely convinced there will be a third year. The format is what we should be looking at. Will it be 8 episodes, or will it be a series of 3 or 4 specials panned through the year? So let's look at the fact that yes, there is going to be a third year. There has to be. They're not going to back down. There has to be. But what format will it be in? Hello, Alice is joining us. Alice Hodges. Say hello to Alice, everyone.
Hi, Alice.
Hello, Alice.
Hi, Alice. Hello.
The chat is moving. So thank you very much, everybody, for being with us in a sec. Some great funny ones from you all as well. I am so pleased that you're all in really quite good moods, considering all the what we've been through over the last few years. Philip is joining us. Philip Roy is here from the Doctor Who Meets the Scratchman film. The Doctor in that as well. RTD is now Little Britain's Dame Sally Markham. How many pages? Oh, and then the Doctor walks about a bit and grabs a magic lead and whistle, and then they all have a marvellous time. How many pages? Yeah, I can see that. In this case, though, Philip, it would be sort of like, oh, well, darling, yes. The Doctor walks about a bit and grabs the magic lead, and then take pages 2 to 120 from Pyramids of Mars and end it with the end. How many pages? That's what it's that's what it was, wasn't it? Thank you, Dean. Jeff, nice to see you. Don't cry. Yeah, add a bit of crying into it.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Paul?
I was just going to say, but I would have loved all these fan references that they had in it if they weren't so ham-fisted. You know, they had an interesting bit with the flashbacks from Pyramids of Mars. If they hadn't kind of dumped on Pyramids of Mars previously, I would have actually liked those bits. But the Doctor seemed completely disconnected from Sarah and the fourth Doctor in this as well. There was a real disconnect being the same character, which is really, really weird. And all the little flashbacks of every landing of the TARDIS and all the little clips from different classic stories and New Who stories. I'd have loved all that if I actually cared about the story, because I don't. I just found it really boring, and I fell asleep twice. I tried to watch this first time round, and within 5 minutes I was asleep. So, and I woke up when they're in the memory TARDIS, thinking, "What am I watching now?" And then I put it off and tried to watch it again and fell asleep again 5 minutes into it. So I have seen it on my third attempt. Yeah. So.
It does say it all there. Let us know if you fell asleep during the Empire of Death as well. Or you were just thoroughly bored. Keep all your chats coming. I'm trying to keep up with you. There's a lot of you in the chat, and you're all chatting away, which I love. So thank you so much, and a huge thank you to our friend here, the lovely Dalek I Love You, for £10. Thank you so much, Dalek I Love You, and everybody else that's doing this for us. Thank you for suffering this era. You guys need medals and therapy, no doubt. I start at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Well, I'm going to watch a classic Who after this just to make me feel better, I think, yeah. So.
Oh, Graham's here with us as well. Evening Girl just joined and didn't watch the episode, so might be a bit quiet tonight, but hope everyone is good and enjoying the weather. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have got some fantastic weather here in the UK at the moment, which is unusual. And Austin Woods, nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. A Sutek stuck on each TARDIS. Why, after watching every crazy thing we've seen since Pyramids of Mars, did Sutek really freak out about Ruby's mum? The name of the Doctor is a better question.
I think Sutek as a baby was abandoned as well. That's why he's got abandonment issues. That's what it'll be. Yeah.
Oh God, don't say that.
I know. I've given him ideas now. I'm sorry about that.
Please don't.
There'll be a Jeremy Kyle episode.
He's just
with
misunderstood.
Sutek on it with his parents, you know, like that. Yeah.
He should be with his brother. Can you imagine if they'd somehow managed to resurrect Horus? And the Siren
do you recognise this voice, Sutek? It's your brother, yeah.
And they've done battle across the earth. That would have been amazing. You know, servicer robots fighting each other and stuff like that would have been amazing. Unit shooting at servicer robots would have been exciting. But they'd have had to change the servicer robots, wouldn't they? There'd have been people. There'd have been people with a silly mask on and everything. But there's so much they could have done to make it better.
But that is what you're saying there is actually quite mature and quite grown up. And we now know, of course, that although they are backtracking an awful lot now, they were looking at a very young audience, allegedly. You know, this is what they're saying now, aren't they, as they make this all up? It wasn't for the big wide public. It was for the kids, basically, most of whom are not watching anyway because it failed completely. Had they done something in the line of like Torchwood Children of Earth, 5 nights consecutive with that sort of premise and made Sutek the big bad over 5 episodes, 5-hour episodes with the servitors and all this sort of stuff, that could have worked properly. If you're going to do something like Sutek, you do it properly. You don't just cut and paste, and you certainly don't go on to things and say, oh, look, this happened off screen and this happened off screen and that happened off screen, because that's why this episode didn't make any sense at all. You know, it's just ridiculous. Hello to the Genuine Article. Nice to see you. Also, the one time I thought the Doctor crying would have made sense. He didn't. He suppressed it from Ruby when saying goodbye until she leaves. Yeah. Good point there.
If they'd saved the crying until this last episode.
I don't like any crying, thank you.
Well, it would have been okay for just one episode, but they did it so often it had no weight whatsoever.
No. I remember the first time I saw the Doctor crying, I think it was the Tennant one. when somebody left him or something. He was in the TARDIS on his own, wasn't he? And somebody left him or something.
It was when he said goodbye to Rose and he cried and
Oh,
Donna
yes.
But
That's right.
Eccleston did it in End of the World when he's talking to Jabe, the tree person, and he had a tear, and that was really well done. That was good. Yeah.
Ah, well, yeah, I suppose. I didn't mind that so much. But that Tennant one, I thought, oh no, I'm not happy with this. Matthew was saying
the only crying I approve of is when Amy and Rory, when the Daleks, or not the Daleks, with the Weeping Angels, and he's crying and like, I'll never see you again, when Matt's just bawling his eyes out.
No, I didn't agree with that either. I don't want to call that. It's too soap opera. I can't be done with it all.
Yeah, but Matt still exuded being alien in a way that unfortunately Shooty doesn't.
Yeah.
Matthew's saying to us here, JT, this cannot get a third series. Who will be watching One Person and Two Pet Hamsters? Very probably, but I think they will because they can't be seen to be wrong. So I think it will go for a third year.
I think the hamsters are turned over at that point. I thought.
Yeah. I think it'll go for a third year, but I'm saying it's the format. It might not be a series. It might be 4.
It's just they've cancelled things a lot more popular than this.
Yeah, and they can't. I mean, it's not that easy for them. I think even if Disney pulled out, I think BBC Studios and Bad Wolf are capable of funding this show.
Yeah.
What they need to do is look at the tone of the show, the writing of the show, the quality of the show, and get off their moral high horses and just produce some damn good science fiction. However, I do think it's too late. I think it's gone. Just Jordan is saying to us here, I would be miffed if I paid to see this in the cinema. And JFO is saying, I agree. I feel by then they will be desperate and make 3 specials after series 2. Possibly RTD will ask Moffat to write some specials and bring back Matt, Karen, and Arthur to bring viewers back. Not too sure about that because I think they'll make a big fuss of just making sure that Shooty is sent off in a popular way, if you know what I mean. So thank you for that.
They wouldn't admit their problems with the Chibnall series, so I doubt they'll admit it with this.
No.
True.
That's the fact. Yeah, we've got also there Rocky O. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. I put money down that Disney will not want to wait until Christmas to bring it back. They have invested to the Christmas one, which is coming out because it was all filmed as part of this block, and series 2. Stay with us here on Who's Views because when that announcement of whether they're going to invest in series 3 or the format of series 3, whatever it is, we'll be talking about it here on the channel. So come and join us. It'd be great to hear what you think about it. And also a huge thank you to Mark, our resident poet laureate here on Who's Views, for your $5. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thoughts on series 5 when the TARDIS explodes in the Eye of Harmony to burn at every point in time and space, erasing the universe? Bye bye Scooby Tech. He didn't think it through. All these wonderful things have happened in the context of the story, and he just hasn't bothered to acknowledge it at all by saying, "Oh, Sutekh was always there, and he's evolved into this god." Oh,
but he keeps burning his bridges, and then quickly reassembling them like they're bloody Lego. And I just find it really tedious and I don't know, just really wearing. And what's really tragic about it all is he doesn't even see that it's making it like he wants to appeal to the kids, right? Kids like being scared. Who the hell's going to be scared by this?
No one. They're going to laugh at it, aren't they?
There's nothing scary about it.
Yeah. They're going to laugh at it.
Can you imagine his emotional meltdown if all his episodes had been script edited by Robert Holmes?
They wouldn't be commissioned by Robert Holmes.
I was going to say, I don't think Robert Holmes would have tolerated this sort of mush.
He'd have thrown every episode out, wouldn't he? He'd have just said, "This is shit," and
he would have done a script rewrite completely of it, like he did with Pyramids of Mars, you know.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Who's Views to Imyoti. I hope I'm saying that right. Next episode, Sutekh venting to his therapist. And Aaron is saying to us here, Sutekh is scrappy do. We've got lots of you in the chat with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'd let Bad Wolf pick up the tab on a third series and watch them go bankrupt. Ooh, scathing. Well, we were talking about it before. Let's get back into this. Richard Hussey was saying to us, who was Ruby's mother, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
we still don't know, really.
Well, never fear, because the Radio Times continue with their article by telling us who was Ruby's mother, they say. Thanks to Roger Ap Gwillim's system of compulsory DNA testing from a future that doesn't exist, I've just made that bit in, the Doctor and Ruby are able to find a record of Ruby's mother, and UNIT is later able to use its advanced technology to confirm the familial link. Ruby's mother is an ordinary human being, one Louise Miller, played by Faye McKeever, who left the infant Ruby at the church on Ruby Road, where she hoped she would be safe. Louise's stepfather was Trouble, And then teenage mother didn't feel she was able to protect her child. As to how exactly Louise was able to remain hidden from the time window, from Sutek, from anyone who attempted to see under her hood, it seems that the intense interest in her from such powerful forces somehow reshaped reality around her.
That's not a euphemism, by the way.
She was important because we think she's important, the Doctor explained. The whole of creation was turning around to her, and it made her sheer existence more powerful than Time Lords and gods. In the end, the most important person in the universe was the most ordinary, a scared little girl making her baby safe. Louise wasn't pointing at the Doctor that night, but at the lamppost behind him. She was pointing at the name of the road, indicating her desire to name her child Ruby. She was important because we think she's important, the Doctor explained. Oh, it's just so bizarre. It's not clear why Louise wore a hooded robe the night she dropped her baby off, purely for drama, or how exactly anyone else knew to call Ruby by that name when no one else was around to see Louise point at the sign. But maybe we can chalk that one up to the same cosmic forces that made an ordinary woman so significant and powerful in the first place. God, this is so dull. None of that came across in the episode at all, did it? Not one thing.
And it was all, the last bit of the episode with this about our mother. It was like they just dropped the main story, and then this was bits felt really tacked on at the end, don't you think?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I have to say, when we're looking at this, from this point especially, I knew exactly what was going on. Even though the snow, I have to just add there as well, the snow wasn't ever explained, was it? So, but from that point on, I knew at some point, Sutek was going to get the chop.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't quite expecting the rope and the walkies bit through time and space, which was just ridiculous. But from that point, I knew this was going to turn into the soap opera. I thought, this is where we're going. It's all going to be about the DNA, and it's going to be the reveal of the mother, and it's all going to be about love, and it's all going to be about social issues, and it's going to be about this. And then another twist that came along is that they find her father as well, even though they'd implied that he was no good in the actual 10 minutes beforehand or something like that. Yeah, so he's on board with it all now. And it just was all turning into this lovey-dovey, nicey. It's as though they are treating, especially youngsters that are watching this, the audience that they think they want, they're putting them in cotton wool and they're not going to let them breathe. They're just going to say bad things don't happen. Everything comes right in the end. Mm-hmm. And this is where Adric, this is where the original classic stories are so much better, because occasionally, just occasionally, it showed you that bad things happen. And when somebody was exterminated, they were exterminated. Yeah. That was it. Now at the flip of Russell thinking, oh my God, we've got to make sure that everything's got to be perfect and fabulous and we can't do anything. They can flick a switch and everybody will be alive again.
So can I just clarify, so Susan Twist is definitely not our Susan.
No, she's not Susan Foreman.
Yeah.
It's a copy made up by Sutek, according to the Radio Times there. It's a copy of Susan.
Right.
And she's her own person. And she's now the one and only one, is the strongest one, is on Earth, probably working for UNIT, because of course
I'm glad you explained
everybody works for UNIT now.
Completely lost about that. Yeah, they're employing anybody.
Everybody.
I might drop a CV and see what happens. Yeah.
You can be 10 years old and you can be working for UNIT now. And I'm going to say it right now while we're on that particular point, Who viewers. I said last week in our review of The Legend of the Ruby Slippers, there are two characters that were in there that shouldn't have been in there because it made no sense. And again, they were back in this one. And again, it made no sense because these two characters made no sense being there at all, and they contributed nothing to the plot. And that's why I'm going to say now, somewhat controversially, they were there to tick boxes.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing. If Rose's character was so significant, why she got such a small part in it?
Yeah.
It's just nonsense, isn't it? The whole thing was ridiculous and shouldn't have been there. None of them should have been there. Right. Okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just have a quick look at this. We mentioned earlier on, of course, the ratings for this, and we're just going to go and look at what for the ratings game for last week. So Doctor Who overnight last night, 2.25 million. 2.25 million. Yes, so let's go and have a look at what the Who-tastic panel said they thought this would bring up this week. Yes, if you are new to us, hello and welcome to Who's Views. If you're new to us, what this is all about, the ratings game is very, 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 very simple. What we do here is that for each new episode of Doctor Who, we actually guess what the overnights will be. So before we come to that, Digby, thank you so much for £5 there. RTD seems to have copied The Last Jedi. Why raid the equivalent of a sewer when you could steal from the best? I have to say, I never went to see that film, so I can't.
You didn't miss much. Yeah,
I did.
The first
I
two were
regret
enough.
it.
Oh, so is it a copy?
With the Palpatine and the kind of who Rey Skywalker, who is she? Is she Rey Palpatine? And she's like, no, I'm Rey Skywalker. It's a bit like that. How they just led it on for years of who her.
Yes, I know we do. Don't give me the plot. I'm not interested in Star Wars in that one.
No, it was just how long they led it on for the parentage, and then at one behind the scenes as well, they didn't know if it was going to be Obi-Wan or if it was going to be Palpatine, and I bet you it was going to be like this behind the scenes of who's actually Ruby's mother.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was.
I
all
wouldn't
made
be
up at the
surprised,
end.
but it turns out this real person's not a mother at all. And there'll be another twist later.
Oh,
on, you know,
don't. I mean,
I
it's got to
know,
be,
but this,
it's got to be laid to
like,
rest.
yeah,
It's got to be, she's
yeah.
not in the Christmas episode, but she is back, we know, in season 2 with the new companion. We're going to be talking about that later in the week there as well. So, oh God, it's going to be ridiculous. But let's have a look at this. This is what the Whotastic panel said for the ratings game last week. Kirsty went with 2.1. Ian went with 1.95. Paul went with 1.9. Jodie went with 2.1 and I went with 1.9 because at some point I am determined it's going to get there. It will get there at some point, everybody. Yes, so look, not too bad at all. Well done. Almost there, so well done. No,
Just saying, I'm seeing.
I lost again.
What?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I lost again.
Yeah.
We'll never get a pencil, Paul.
Never going to get a pencil. No. I'll have to buy one. How much do they cost,
Never.
JT? Can I send you some money?
Yes, that's fine. No ratings game for this week, of course, because it's not on next week. So they've got nothing for that. So we'll have to wait until December. But there we go on that particular one. Thank you very much for joining us here on Who's Views this evening. We have an awful lot to talk about, and so have you in the chat. It's lovely to see so many of us joining us. If you are new to the channel, please come and subscribe to the channel. It's free to subscribe. We really appreciate it. And also give us a thumbs up, like. That also helps us here as well. But it's great to see you. Keep the chats coming in. Thanks to Kirsty, who's busy in there as well, making sure everybody's okay. And I'll come back to you in a second because, believe it or not, as we touched on earlier, we're not the only ones to be a little bit confused or not impressed with this particular episode of Doctor Who. Some of our fans who will usually love every single aspect of this since 2017, 2018, for the sake of loving every aspect of it, and will, criticize us from the high mountains and call us ots and phobes and this. Some of them weren't happy either, and it's been picked up. Oh, yes, it has. This is from The Independent this morning. Doctor Who fans react hilariously to underwhelming finale reveal. Is that it? As many of them were questioning today. Now, this is this is quite funny because this is an article based on one of their articles. Okay, so this is written by Annabelle Nugent. Okay. Spoilers over below. That's fine. We don't need any of that. She carries on by saying Doctor Who fans are reacting hilariously to the season's underwhelming finale. I think she's getting at us. The sci-fi series has reached the end of its highly publicized 14th season, which saw Ncuti Gatwa take over the reins as the new Time Lord and Russell T Davies return as showrunner. Its finale, titled Empire of Death, landed on BBC iPlayer at midnight on Saturday, the 22nd of June. The episode will be broadcast on BBC One at 6:40. For many international fans and UK viewers who stayed up to watch the series when it first landed at midnight, the finale has proven to be a big disappointment. Since last year's Christmas special, Doctor Who has teased the mystery of Ruby Sunday's origins. Across 7 subsequent episodes, several hints were dropped in the storyline as to the identity of Ruby's unknown mother. Viewers were largely disappointed to learn that Ruby's mother is in fact an ordinary woman called Louise, who had left her daughter at the church gates in a panic when she was 15 years old. Many have criticized the reveal as being hugely anticlimactic, especially given that past installments have portrayed the mysterious mother figure as a haunting hooded figure. In a 2-star review of the episode for The Independent, TV critic Ed Power wrote, "The argument Davis proceeds to make using the Doctor as a mouthpiece is that it is Ruby's average quality that makes Louise, Ruby's mum, so extraordinary." I hope you're keeping up. Or as the Time Lord puts it, she was important because we think she's important. That's how everything happens, every war, every religion, every love story. All right. One user wrote, these are fans. Doctor Who fans all over the country, the minute pictures of a completely normal woman came up on screen, alongside a gif of the boys' Homelander actor gazing straight into the movie Scream. We've also got how I felt after that Doctor Who, together with a clip from Gavin and Stacey in which Alison Steadman's Pam points at a TV screen and exclaims, "Is that it?" Others compared the cloak that Ruby's mum wore to those worn by the contestants on the BBC's hit game show The Traitors. Where is a 15-year-old mum getting this traitor's cloak from, said one. Several people compared the unsatisfying plot reveal to the one concerning Daisy Ridley's character in the Star Wars franchise, with the overwhelming consensus from viewers so far emerging that the finale episode disastrously failed to live up to expectation.
Yeah. You see, we don't have the full story, though. She's the Rani and the Master's the dad, so they're parents of Ruby's. I bet that's where they happen. Yeah.
That's just scared the hell out of me. That's a real frightening story.
Yeah, it was also the bit at the end, the very end with Mrs. Flood.
Yeah, well,
where's that going? Yeah.
Well, they're teasing. In my opinion, they were teasing initially with the way she was dressed because it was very like Jenna Coleman's outfit, and then I think they were teasing on the roof, bizarrely, with an outfit that Romana 1 wore. Were they not?
Well, something similar with all that fluff and stuff like that.
Yeah. Servalan also wore it in Blake 7, by the way.
She did.
That's just your Servalan. That's who she is. I bet
that would be interesting.
We'd be interested. There'll be a crossover there. That's lovely. Good. Yeah.
Let's say a huge thank you to Doug Sims. Thank you very much for your $5 there, mate. I really appreciate that. Hi, everyone. Did you enjoy the best finale ever? Well, it wasn't bloody Doctor Who, was it? It was total crap. We are busy talking about that, Doug, but good morning. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. And Austin Woods is saying to us, the entire PR campaign for this new series, it's new. You don't need to know anything about Doctor Who. Then the two-part finale hinges on a callback to a villain we haven't seen since the 70s. Very, very true. Going back to a lot of the fans that were upset, though, well, it was amazing to see how many particular fans were upset. Yes. Now, never any names mentioned on this particular one, please, everybody, for the simple reason that I would never name check them. If you know who they are, you know who they are. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't really matter. But it was very, very, very strange to find that certain elements of the so-called Doctor Who fandom were also slightly annoyed and tired with this episode. The Doctor Who finale left me so deflated. Empire out of death, out of the theatre, went one review. Some rambling out of the theatre reactions to the Doctor Who finale. Now, this means out of the cinema, because, of course, the episode was shown at the cinema on Friday night. Saturday morning, whatever you want to look at it. In summary, I think Russell T Davies has resigned himself to the supposed fact that the show's best days are behind it. And I think that's a bit depressing. This person goes on to say, I'm trying to imagine someone who started watching Doctor Who this year because RTD said how it was a fresh start reacting to a finale where hardly any of their questions were answered. And the episode stopped for a few minutes so the characters could watch a story from 49 years ago. You could argue that fans were served, but I do think that the finale was the death knell for anyone new getting into the show. If RTD is happy to keep tapping into the same pool of sizable but slowly dwindling fans, more power to him. But I personally disagree with that approach. And by dwindling fans, I don't mean fans leaving because of wokeness or whatever. I'd argue anyone taking that approach never really cared about Doctor Who. Completely missing the point there.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are some other ones I've got here for you as well. I'm sorry, but I really hated this. It's really dumb. The blank, you mean that she was pointing at the sign to name her daughter. Remember when the screwdriver changed to a TV remote because RTD thought it looked too much like a gun? Now they give a 13-year-old an actual gun on a Segway. This series is absurdity and idiocy. Idiocy is unreal. I can't say that. I've been a defender of this entire season, says another fan. But what a crap ending. Ruby's mum is just a woman. Why can she make snow? Why did the memory change? Why did Sutek die when he was flung into the time vortex when that's how he explicitly survived last time? There are more. You're trying to tell me that the god of death decided to reveal himself because he couldn't catch a glimpse of an NHS worker? I love Millie Gibson. I love Ruby Sunday. I love Ncuti Gatwa. And I will always love Doctor Who. But that series finale was so disappointing. I'm honestly gutted. And finally, that was shocking. did this script pass an editor? That really sealed the deal with my opinion of the series. So to those fans, welcome to our world, because we've had to put up with this for quite a while.
I'm not going to say names, but I do recognise the first one. That made
You're all
phobes.
You're all phobes and ifs and ots for not liking this and not understanding this particular episode yesterday. You are terrible people, and you should learn that. It's awful that you didn't like this. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Told you so. Yeah.
Honestly, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, that's what happens now. And what are they going to do? These people are going to be hurting for quite a while now, actually. And
well, it's funny. I've got a few friends of a similar age who are Doctor Who fans, and a lot of them really liked it. And we've said this many times before. It's okay for people to like this, but I really want to know why people still like some of this. I don't understand, because that those articles about the series not being great and it's past its sell-by date kind of thing, that happened in Space Babies, didn't it? Really, it's like
we've got a mutual friend, Paul, who's in the same scenario, and I'd like to ask him as well.
Yeah. I was surprised at that particular person. Yes, yeah.
We've got DT UK here saying this series was never going to amount to anything good, that is. And Raymond is saying to us in the chat, one thing this season has taught us, never believe anything RTD says. You can't at the moment now either, because it's just been correcting himself continually all through this year from one thing to another. It's been hypocrisy. Matthew was saying to us, God, please do not make Anita Dobson the new Missy. I personally do not want to see any more of that nonsense in again. I want to get rid of all of that. I do not agree with all this gender swapping nonsense, as you all know, and I don't want to see Missy ever again. I want the Master if he's done properly, but not just yet, because apparently he was used in the Whittaker era. Timothy Unwin was saying, why was Maestro so freaked out by Ruby? Good question.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense either, does it? Yeah, it's bizarrely. Yeah.
What was that? The music in her, and Phil was asking about this, and he's not watched anything. And I explained that it was all peace and love, but we don't know yet. And he's like, "All right, cool."
Don't tell him. Tell me how to watch it. Yeah.
There's an awful lot of threads that are left hanging in this, and this could possibly be because he's going to continue into season 2, because Ruby's story does continue in series 2. And therefore, there'll be certain things for it to do, probably. I don't know. But at this point, ask yourselves as well, why do we care? Do we care? Heretic OSJC is saying to us, guys, the next episode is a Christmas special. So clearly Mrs. Flood was dressed as a member of E17 for a new Day video.
I thought it was Boney M myself, but never mind. But there we go.
It's a good point, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a good point. There she is there, and she's about to burst into song for her new video. Yeah. What's all this?
Oh, that'll be a musical Christmas episode as well. Look forward to that. Yeah.
Again, it's breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
That's another ongoing thing. It's breaking the fourth wall. What is that about? Why is he doing that? I just don't understand this at all.
Because he thinks it's really clever. He thinks it's a really big statement, which if it's done properly, yes, it is really clever and it is a really big statement. It can be a really good tool, but he doesn't know how to use it.
But we'll have to wait till season 7 to find out what's going on, though. So
you look at how films like Deadpool consistently break the fourth wall, and it works really well.
Yeah,
and it's funny, and it just fits in the mood and the narrative of the films. But this just doesn't.
It was more like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And as much as I think
and
Anita Dobson's a great actor, but what is she doing with that RP accent, that voice at the end as Mrs. Flood? What is going on there?
Well, that's
because her voice has changed, hasn't it? She was really broad and kind of like Cockney, wasn't she, to start off with, and now she's really posh.
I think it's because the character's coming out more, and she's been told more by Russell, and they're obviously building up to some, because again, we know that Anita Dobson is in series 2. She's been seen on set. She's been filming. She's going to be there. She is another big reveal that's going to take them into series 3.
Is this to make Dimension of Time canon? Because she was in EastEnders, so she's actually Angie Watts instead.
God, I dread to think. It probably is, though, isn't it? It's this whole universe thing. That nonsense is all. I mean, to be quite honest, I'd rather watch that piece of rubbish than what I've just watched over the last 8 weeks. Honestly, at least I know the Doctor's there. I can see the Doctor quite clearly. There's several versions of him in it, and they're all playing the Doctor. In this, I haven't seen it yet. Thank you to Van Sam for saying that. I used to love Doctor Who, but now I'm just a bigot. And don't you forget it.
Yeah.
And Gilliam is with us. Hi, Gilliam. I'm so sorry. I did not like this. I will punish myself by not watching the Christmas special. Domgo is saying, are you ready to jump on for more with season 2? No. No, you're going to have to give me time to think about that. And Coda is saying, I don't know what that's about. So, but nice to see you, Coda. Thank you for you're all chatting away in there. It's brilliant. Thank you very, very much for everybody. Chris Graham is with us as well. What we need to talk about is what writers out there that really could write the show better. Well, actually, we are going to be doing that in future shows. So, Chris, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell to get the notification when we're going, because we're going to be dealing with that, and that will probably come in as well one of our next shows, to be quite honest, as well, because we need to look at that, don't we? We need to look at that. What else we got here? Thank you, everybody. What's that? Super sticker from Paul Ashworth. Well, thank you very much. Nice. I'm glad you like your super stickers. I have no idea what that means. But that's great. Thank you very much for that one, Paul. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And what else we got here? Jamie 9526 is saying to us, they aren't fans but long-term viewers. They ask why I still watch. To be honest, it's like watching a car crash now.
It does.
This season wasn't it? This really was.
As I said before, I couldn't believe that this could get any worse than it was when Chibnall did it, and it really has. It really has.
It's a shame, really. Jenny, your article is saying to us here, Mrs. Flood is clearly Absorbaloff back for his revenge. Well,
yeah, that was all. We missed that. That was so obvious, wasn't it? Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past it. It could well be now, couldn't it? Genuine article, guys. It could well be the Absorbaloff.
Again, don't give RTD ideas because he's probably done that already.
No, God, no. Can you imagine?
No, it's ridiculous, but it could well be. So thank you, as I say, for everybody joining us this evening for this, our review of Empire of Death. We've still got lots to come up for you as well, including this. We've mentioned this gentleman on the show before, but have a look at this particular piece from iNews and Mr. Stephen Kelly. There he is there. Hello, Stephen, if you're watching. I think he might jolly well be. But anyway, listen to this. Doctor Who Empire of Death review. Ncuti Gatwa's debut has been wonderful until the finale. Russell T. Davies.
What has he been watching, really?
Yeah, Russell T. Davies's weakness for loose plotting and rushed endings lets this final episode down. 3 stars out of 5. So they're not being slightly truthful here, because he's been given they've all been given most of these stories over this year 3 out of 5. Now, if this one is not the best one, let's have a look at this. The first series finale of Ncuti Gatwa era of Doctor Who, Empire of Death, feels like an encapsulation of his time in the TARDIS. Thematically bold, handsomely produced, superbly performed. But showrunner Russell T. Davies's weakness for loose plotting and rushed denouement let this final episode down. Last week's episode, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which was the first half of this 2-part finale, ended with the grand return, don't remind us, of old nemesis Sutekh, the god of death. First introduced in the 1975 Tom Baker story Pyramids of Mars as an alien who was worshipped as a god, now he is being re-established as a supernatural deity whose deadly dust of death, magic sand that kills anyone it touches, is spreading across the universe. The Doctor and Mel have no choice but to run. In a thrilling chase scene, they flee on the back of a scooter as Sutekh's dust engulfs London. Just one problem. Sutekh, who is lavishly rendered as a huge CGI canine creature, has gained control of the Doctor's TARDIS. He claims he's been a stowaway for thousands of years and has been seeding versions of Susan in every place the TARDIS landed to spread his dust of death. That's why the Doctor keeps encountering the same woman over and over across time and space. Thanks for clearing that one up, mate. We really appreciate that one. The revelation that the Doctor is partly responsible for killing every world he has visited gives Gatwa an opportunity to showcase his best angst-ridden scream. There is a refreshing quality to the Doctor that being this emotionally vulnerable, although I can't shake the feeling that Gatwa has cried too many times over the past 8 episodes. Really?
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah. It's a shame. Empire of Death warrants well-earned tears. Taking the melancholy scene between the Doctor and Fleabag star, is that Sean Clifford? I don't know who she is. Sian Clifford.
Yeah, I think so.
Plays a mother on a world that has been devastated by Sutek. The dust is so destructive that it can kill even memories, and she has forgotten everything, even the death of her child. It is a surprisingly short appearance for an actor of Clifford's caliber, but she makes every second count. The other tearjerker is the mystery of Ruby's birth mother, here we go, which turns out to be the key to ultimately defeating Sutek. The only thing that God loves more than death is gossip. He simply cannot abide ruling over a silent universe until he knows the answer to the series' biggest question. The Doctor and Ruby use the promise of answers to lure the curious canine into a trap, one that ends with the ridiculous image of Sutek on a lead being dragged through time dragged through the time vortex by the TARDIS. Here is where the nonsensical plotting kicks in. Only just now? For Ruby's mother is not some big plot twist, but an ordinary nurse from Leeds called Louise. You can practically hear the creaking of the plot trying to justify this, given all the titillating teasers we've had so far that have turned out to be red herrings. Finally, he goes on to say, yet all's well that ends well. All's well that ends well. The reunion scene between Ruby and her mother, who meet in a coffee shop, is tremendously moving, as is the moment in which Ruby decides to leave the TARDIS behind and concentrate on finding her father. The Doctor and Ruby's dynamic has felt underdeveloped this series, but Gibson does a wonderful job selling the sorrow of parting. For us, however, the sorrow won't last long. As the wonderfully enigmatic fourth wall-breaking Mrs. Flood, played by Anita Dobson, reminds us, we will meet again in this year's Doctor Who Christmas special. I'm sorry to say his story ends in absolute terror, she says, grinning with Camp Menace. Night-night. Here's hoping it's a bit more of a cracker. Well, here's hoping that actually this series does end in complete terror. I'm all for that one.
It's already in terror. The image I've got here is the fact that Sutek loves gossip. So can you imagine all the pantheon of gods going, have you heard anything about Ruby?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yes, you know, they're all doing that kind of gossip.
They're all over their fences in the backyard.
And Sutek
about Ruby.
Toymaker and all the Guardians doing all that. Yeah.
He's fun in the salon and he's getting all the gossip. That's what's going on.
That's it. Yeah.
He's in the poodle parlor getting a bit of a trim, you know.
Making him look more like Scooby-Doo than he did in that nonsense. This is what's happening in the press since this episode has gone out. It's as though, everything alleged, it's as though they're not wanting to actually really do the job of criticizing it, but looking for those elements there that they can say were really good. And the elements they're saying really good, it's the soap opera element. This is bloody Doctor Who. This is a sci-fi drama. This is what gets me about this. And I know there are people out there that love all this nonsense in Doctor Who because it's representational and it's a familiar television for them and it's all about it. I can't be done with it. I want monsters and I want baddies and I want life-threatening things and I want Sutek in the last 20 minutes of an adventure that he's supposed to be in. Yeah. You know, is it just me? What do you guys think?
I just can't imagine what
completely. Sorry, Jodie.
No, I agree. I just can't imagine what the terror is going to be in the Christmas special. What? I don't know.
Special.
It's going to be a twerk off at Christmas, no doubt. Yeah.
Have you dropped any trailer yet, like what they used to do? Will that be to drum up viewers later on to keep them going?
What viewers? Yeah, I don't think anyone would have cared, Kirsty, if there was been a trailer afterwards, because nobody was watching. We've said it before. We're going to be saying it again as we look at this in our analysis review. The British public have gone. This show is done with the British public now. You know, they're not coming back, Kirsty, are they? Let's face it.
I mean, he said Sutek was terrifying. Sutek was anything but terrifying.
Yeah. There was one shot I liked that if it wasn't Sutek, it would have been quite good, with the fact that he's crowded around the TARDIS and he's really holding on to it. That was quite creepy and quite a good visual effect.
It was nice.
You know?
Yeah. And the way they turned the police box round was a very nice bit of CGI.
That was nice,
yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to do that 10 years ago. But it should have been a different baddie, a brand new version. It shouldn't have been Sutek. It should have been something original for this series. Its own brand new baddie.
Was it that comic book character that turned into a dragon? One of the Doctor Who weekly ones, and she was like a big dragon, and that would be more like that because it's more like a dragon.
That was the Iron Legion. That was the Iron Legion.
That's right. That's the one. Yeah.
Magog from Doctor Who Weekly days. Yeah,
that's the one.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. These people are supposed to be writers. They're supposed to be imaginative. They're supposed to be good at what they're doing. Stop bringing back creatures and baddies and villains from the series past and then destroying them like you've just done with Sutekh. Come up with your own versions, because the imagery was there, as you're saying, Paul, with that one with that beautiful bit of CGI is turning that TARDIS beautifully. That was really nicely done.
Quite creepy as well, but it's not Sutekh.
But what if it had been its own bat stroke dog stroke god in its own right for a brand new... I mean, they messed up the Celestial Toymaker just a few short months ago. Now he's done it again. What's he going to be doing for season 2? I don't know. Thank God the Daleks didn't turn up, is all I'm saying, as predicted on this very show. Keyring of Razalon,
didn't they?
Sorry, Ian?
They got a mention, though, didn't they? But I think the Mr. Trick with when he was over the TARDIS, like you say, and he was turning it round, because I think it would have been good if he'd had control of the TARDIS like that. If the TARDIS had gone from blue to black and its windows were red to match his eyes, that might have been a little bit more impactful. You know, it shows he's got control of this machine, but it was just the TARDIS with Scooby-Doo.
Wasn't it red in the interior though, Ian? So why weren't the windows red? Good point.
Well, exactly.
Because it's supposed to show, isn't it? Dalek, I Love You is saying the only 3 stars in this era so far go to Millie Gibson, Bonnie Langford, and the SFX. I'm going to say it again. Bonnie was well underused. She was underused in the giggle thing last year, and here she is again in 2 episodes underused. And Bonnie can do so much more. Mel can do so much more. At one point I thought, oh, they're going to do this DNA crap stuff. Mel's going to be the one that does because she's a computer genius. But no, she gets taken over by the baddie, the bad dog, and then goes out the room to do something or other, make a cup of tea or whatever it was. I don't know.
But when she did those emotional bits, when Sutekh was trying to take her over, that was really well done. And it shows how strong an actor she actually is.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time she's played a baddie in Doctor Who as well, isn't it?
Which is really good.
Which is great. And
but that in itself was depressing, because if they just got a decent writer, it would have been. It might have turned out being worthy of her. It just wasn't worthy of her.
Yeah, we've got some great points coming in from the chats as well. Charger Malezo, I think that is correct there. It would be a good idea actually for his next regeneration, the Doctors to be the bad guy. We've done that one before. It's called the Valyard. And there's lots of speculation about could Anita Dobson be playing a female Valyard. I hope not, because his regeneration is set in that point there to all those people who are saying that. It is the Michael Jason character. The Keyring of Razalon. Will we ever find out what Susan Triad's tech invention that's about to revolutionize the world was about? I'm guessing not.
No.
I think you'd be correct. I think you're going to be correct there. And now she's working for UNIT. They'll probably just say you can't do it anyway. And Phil Johnson's joining us. The new look Sutekh was basically a leftover from Marvel's Moon Knight. Next season, I'm expecting Missy to return as She-Hulk. Go on, Kirsten.
I said that. It was given Moon Knight inspiration last week. And
is that a superhero?
Yes, it's one of the darker comics, because he's got multiple personality disorder. So it's got Egyptian themes in it as well. And
we're going to get that in the next service of Doctor Who, then, aren't we? We're going to get a baddie that's good 1 minute and bad next minute, and then just I can see it coming.
He's different people, and he's got other egos as well. But yeah, it was from Moon Knight, and it's a Disney thing as well. So.
Oh God, I am so looking forward to the next series. Duck Soup Productions is saying to us here: the sorrow may not last, but the pain to us is endless.
Yeah,
some people will pay for that. Oh, they do, because they're buying the season 1 DVD and Blu-ray and Steelbook. And Christopher Benassi, you're naughty. I'm not putting that up, but you are very naughty. Yes. Austin Woods is saying, surprise, Sutekh hasn't come back to spite us for this episode. And Stuart Kerrigan is saying, the piece of Sutekh, but first it's gossip time. Yeah. Michael Q, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Always lovely to see you. So we'll see you again next time. And the Keyring of Razalon is saying, absolute terror is a cafe in Swansea.
Sounds a great place.
Yeah, one to avoid, I think, possibly there in that case, isn't it? Again, thank you so much, everybody, for all your chats. A lot of you in here. Welcome to Who's Views. If you are new, please subscribe to the channel. If you are, give us a thumb up and come and join us for all our future shows, because we've got some great stuff planned for you. I hope you're going to like it. 21st Century Boy, Jason saying the Destroyer from Battlefield was better than the modern Sutekh. Far better.
Oh, yeah.
Far better. That was great makeup and mask work there. Brilliant stuff. And Simon L, nice to see you, mate. I think the only reason why this was done was to kill off the Daleks, only for RTD to reboot the Daleks in RTD's non-problematic image. The Daleks are always going to be problematic. You cannot change what a Dalek is. It's a tin of bubbling hate. It's as simple as that. You can't get away from it.
But although they destroyed Scarrow, they brought it back, didn't they? So probably so.
I'm getting messed up with it all now.
Yeah.
And Thistlebeaks is joining us. Hello, Thistlebeaks. Of course, Russell had to get cultural appropriation in there. Yeah, no, we touched on this a little bit before. And I'm still quite annoyed about it, I have to say, because there was no reason for it, was there, Thistlebeaks? No reason for that at all.
Yeah.
It's just to tick a box, just so you can kiss the bahookie of this group that gets offended that you want to braid your hair or you want to appreciate another culture, which other cultures say that that's what it's for, to appreciate and share. So it's just ticking boxes again.
Yeah. Well,
But
totally.
he's probably forgetting that because the Osirians last lived for such a long time and had been there on Earth for such a long time, that the Egyptians probably absorbed the culture and the icons and the iconography from them. So therefore, actually, it was them that were culturally appropriating.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, it's politics again, isn't it? And it's politics that not everybody in the UK agrees with. So again, it's against what the BBC should be doing in itself. They're not representing the masses there at all, and they're just basically pushing that agenda again, aren't they? And it's really, really ridiculous. It's at this point, guys, that I want to actually bring in the Wokeometer. I want to say hello to Anthony as well. Hi, Anthony. The TARDIS was the big band that exploded. You're absolutely right. Yeah, there's another one where Sutak should have got it in the yeah.
When we actually had to go to the vets to get his paw fixed. That was it. Yeah.
When we come together and we put our minds together and we start looking for this, it's so much easier to see. You're right. Actually, that was done there. Frontios was there. The Big Bang was there. That happened there. Sutak should have died several million times over, apart from his original death in Pyramids of Mars. Yeah, it's absolutely. How did it survive, says Anthony? No, you're absolutely right. Right. So if you're new to us, what we do as part of these new the Who's Views reviews of these new episodes of Doctor Who is we do wind up a very new piece of AI kit that my Uncle Sydney put together for me. And what this does is it listens to the chat, it watches the episode, it listens to what we're all saying, and out of 10, it gives us the details of how woke it thinks the episode was. Before we do that, I want to say a huge thank you again to Jamie Knight for £5. Thank you. God of Gossip. I've seen her closing her curtains in the middle of the day. Harlot.
Does Uncle Sydney have to watch the episodes as well?
Uncle Sydney has better things to do.
Okay, I'll just check it because I feel for him if he did. You know.
He has better things to do. He's busy trying to hide most of his antique collection these days, I have to tell you. And also Christopher Benassi, a huge thank you to you for your £5. Thank you so much. I still have the horrible feeling that the dot and bubble, I can't say that word, will turn out to be the Thals. Fortunately, I will never know, as this was my last episode. So there we go with Christopher Benassi now leaving Doctor Who. You'll have to get all your info from us then, won't you, mate? You'll have to keep coming to us here at Who's Views.
Stay with us.
Oh God, what have I said now? I've just suddenly realized I'm actually committing to looking at the next piece of crap. Oh God.
I'm afraid you're in it for the long haul for the benefit of this wonderful channel that we have here. So yeah.
Oh God. We will deal with that nearer the time, because in a couple of weeks' time we're back to proper Doctor Who with a John Pertwee story. Everybody, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see the Doctor again. Where was I? The littlest hobo got mean and rabid, says Matthew. Yeah, remember that. Remember the theme tune.
Imagine if Sutek had to go and get something done to his eye or something. Have the cone of shame that the dogs have. That'd be good.
Now that's something that the Doctor should have used with this version of Sutek.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get on to the Wokeometer. Let's see what. Are we all ready, Uncle Sydney? All wound up and ready to go? Yes, we are. It is. It's warming up. Yes. The kettle's on it as well. I'm so excited. I'll get a cup of tea in a minute. Let's see what will happen with the Wokeometer now for this episode, the grand finale of DisneyWho Series 1. Empire of Death. Hit it, Uncle Sydney. Out of 10, everyone. Out of 10. Oh, right. So it's giving it a 6 out of 10 on the Wokeometer. And that is purely for the reference and the implication about the cultural appropriation. Because why was it there again? And why was it delivered in that very nasty way from Ncuti Gatwa as well? So no, just no. So, but 6 out of 10 there for everybody. I think that was fair.
Yeah, I think so. I'm surprised there wasn't more controversy in this with having Rose in it. I thought she may have had to question Sutek's pronouns at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you assume my... Anyway, that would have been a lovely scene on that one. I'd like to see that on many shows, including Star Wars. Solidarity with the Star Wars fans. Solidarity. Yes. So what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh, Just Jordan's here. I bet, JT, I bet your family relieved they have a reprieve now. I know my dad is. Absolutely. Yeah, they bailed out of this ages ago watching this show. So, yeah, it's ridiculous, honestly.
So it's the show with the barge man all the way now, isn't it? That's it. So yeah,
exactly. So that was that. Thank you, Under Sydney, for that. Thank you very much for that. We will put the Wokeometer away now until. Okay. Timothy Ullman is with us saying, was Clara the carrying around Sutek in a handbag? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could have been. Yeah, she could be.
Like a little chihuahua sticking at the top there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And Paul Holgate was saying, and it shrank in Logopolis, so Sutek became Scrappy Doo.
It shrank again in Flatline, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Flatline as well, and also that journey to the center of the TARDIS. See, it's all coming out now.
What about that scene in Mark of the Rani when the TARDIS gets pushed down the mine? That must have been very.
Well, he got a headache for a couple of days.
Yeah,
Sutek got a headache for a couple of days there. He took something for it after a little while, you know. And also the Doctor's wife. Let's just put that in there, seeing as we're ripping it to shreds. What about the Doctor's wife? Surely she would have said at this point, by the way, we've got a lodger here.
Yeah. And he's not paying any rent. Yeah.
Stage 10 singer.
Yeah. She would
have.
have.
She's exorbitant as well. So
yeah. Thistle Beaks is also confirming that was the last episode of Doctor Who he's going to be watching there. Oh, it's so sad, isn't it? And Doug is saying Russell T Davies is an anagram of "You Are Silly Sad TV." Oh, well done. That's good. That's a good one. That one. That is really good. That one. And what else we got here? Hartnell's Ghost is saying to us, lots of you in the chat. Thank you so much. Anyone else think the on-screen chemistry between Gatwa and Gibson appears forced? Millie Gibson's body language is telling. Now, actually, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to come to that. Has it worked for you? This pairing?
Not really. No, I think she's really good, but I don't think there's any chemistry at all. Not that I've seen. There's not been enough time. I don't think. Really, but...
Anybody else?
I think she's a good actor, but I don't feel invested. Mind you, it's not just her. I don't feel invested in any of the characters there. I mean, Kate Lethbridge-Stewart a bit because she's been in it historically for quite a while.
And that's because you recognise her, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. But the rest, no. I just find that I don't give a damn at all. Yeah. I just can't.
I would have liked to see Ruby with 12.
12 what? Oh, the Doctor 12.
You're making up your own jokes there, JT, I think.
I've just struggled ever since they started talking about fam. That really, wasn't it? Right. That, see, when he adopts colloquialisms that are very much of our era, that to me takes me out of him being an alien and being different.
That's right,
babes. I can't cope with that at all. And so yes, exactly that. Him going babes and honey and I'm like, no, don't do that. That's horrible. The companion can do that, but he can't do that because to me that just ruins it completely.
I totally
Can you imagine Hartnell saying that? Really?
No, but I can't imagine. I can't. This is the other reason. It's not the Doctor, and this is Russell's doing. He's writing it for that audience that we've been going on about, the one that he thinks is actually there because we've had it, we've talked about it on the shows. The younger audience I was hired, paraphrasing, the younger audience I was hired to get involved in Doctor Who is there, and it's growing with the young people. And he's put it down to all this crappy language he's using, as well as all this emotional stuff. But it's not the Doctor. And if somebody from BBC Studios or BBC or Bad Wolf is you're allowing this, you don't know Doctor Who. You're so focused on what you think you've got to do now. You've actually forgotten you're supposed to be producing a show called Doctor Who. That's the point of it. And you are actually crapping on from a very high height everything that's gone before.
He comes over as very superficial.
I just don't see him as the Doctor. It's just some... I don't know. It's not the Doctor. I don't know who that is, but it's not Doctor Who. It's not...
This makes normally...
Go on, Paul.
I was going to say a bit sort of superficial on my part, but I'm still... can't get my head around the fact he's not got a distinctive image. There was a last shot of him in this episode where Ruby's about to leave, and he's leaning on the console in that lovely leather jacket. He looked really cool, looked like the Doctor until he speaks, and that was great, you know. And that had a wee moment there, but it's just, he's just not the Doctor for me at all, and I really wanted to like him, you know.
The problem for me with Empire of Death is the script was so weak and shallow and so rushed to get you to the very end, which was all about the soap opera nonsense. I didn't see the Doctor again. And because I was bored, so bored all throughout it, it just didn't make any sense for me. I want to say thank you to Cute Pyro Zero. Thank you again. Really appreciate it for your £5. Thank you so much. Also saying that this was the last series I'll watch till they fix their you-know-what. I feel bad for Millie Gibson, as I think she should be okay with a real Doctor. Big shame. I think what Kirsty was saying there, Cute Prior, what do you think of that one? Capaldi could work with that. I think the fact that, she's so young, it would work again with the older Doctor like it did in the old days, because the older Doctor there, responsible adult here, whereas this one feels, it's not even like her brother, it just feels like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like that.
I think as well,
thank you,
if she'd gone with Capaldi on a behind the scenes sort of thing, she's a bubba, she's coming into this industry. Peter would have, the chemistry would be able to bounce off, and should have probably learned a lot from him as an actor. And B, from what you were saying, JT, in our streams a few weeks ago, that people like to attach to gay guys because they think, oh, we'll be their friends. And I think maybe they're trying to do that dynamic of, because they're gay, that the besties sort of thing, and that sort of feeling with the Doctor. That's what I'm getting.
Possibly. It's possible, yeah. Tired. Actually, we've got some headlines coming up this week that might actually prove that point. Lynn Hobday is saying to us here, I like Millie, but we never really got to know Ruby as an underwritten character. Considering that the series seemed to be all about her, you're absolutely right. And hello to and welcome to Who's Views to Carwyn Morris. It's nice to see you. I really don't like UNIT. They are supposed to be military, not Scooby and the gang. This could be because, of course, the other rumoured spin-off is a UNIT series, which has been forever. And we will all know that. There's always been rumours or a fan desire for a UNIT spin-off. But RTD has apparently said, allegedly, that a UNIT spin-off could be looked at, and it would have various people. The cast would revolve continually. So you'd have Kate there, and then other people that he is now establishing, including some old favourites, in the mix, because everybody works at UNIT now. Every Doctor Who companion going seems to be there. They dug up Adric to get him in there. He's downstairs carbon dating the dinosaurs or something. It's really quite funny. You can do everything there. So let's have a look at that, Carwyn. And Jay Crow is saying to us, Ruby would have been a great companion for the 11th Doctor, in my opinion, rather her than the insufferable Amy Pond. Ooh, I love a bit of controversy. Bring it on. Can't wait for that particular one there. But yeah, we've got... what do you guys think about needs to be done now for when Millie returns? I mean, we know it's in the can already, but what would you like to see that to strengthen that?
That's a good question. I think she's going to be probably upstaged by the new companion, probably, and she'll be in the background a bit more, I think, and that's a shame because there'll be not much room for developing the character, probably, which is a shame.
Well, as a wise man once said, time will tell. It always does. So that's going to be coming up. One more article for us here now, in case you haven't seen this particular one. This is from Engadget, everybody. I'd like to know what you all think about this. Daniel Cooper, senior editor's review, started Doctor Who Empire of Death review. Take your dog for a walk. Emotional bombast triumphs over internal consistency. Let's look at this one. Empire of Death is the typical Russell T Davies series finale. It's bombastic, dense, and totally uninterested in resolving its own story. The episode bounces around for the requisite amount of time before leaping to its climax with an arresting visual of little substance. Because what Davies is really interested in is the scenes afterward and the all too brief moment where Ruby Sunday gets coffee. At the end of Legend of Ruby Sunday, the Doctor and Mel are face to face with Sutek's minion, Susan. Sutek begins spraying its dust of death, a cloud of dust that turns whoever it touches into a pile of dust themselves. The Doctor and Mel outrun the cloud on Mel's scooter in an action sequence that feels like it ate the bulk of the episode's budget. The pair head back to Unit HQ to reunite with Ruby at the time window. Sutek's dog form is still clutching the TARDIS as a prized possession and wipes out the rest of the unit's staff, including Kate, Rose, and Morris. 3 deaths you just know won't last for longer than half an hour. Sutek explains to the Doctor he clung to the TARDIS at some point and followed it around on every step of the Doctor's journey. Every planet the Doctor landed on, he planted a Susan there, each one lingering both as a trap for the Doctor and to sow Sutek's murderous dust. And he used the TARDIS's perception filter to hide what he was doing. Did you know the filter operates at a distance of 73 yards? Yes, it's a callback. He's explaining it so well here, isn't he? The Doctor, Ruby, and Mel hightail it into the memory Windows TARDIS, which turns out to be the memory TARDIS, which is just a regular TARDIS. This was small, cobbled-together set from the 60th anniversary framing series, Tales of the TARDIS, in which classic series actors introduce classic series episodes to new viewers. This is harsh. While in flight, the trio see what Sutek has done to the universe, rendering it cold and empty and giving Gatwa a chance to scream his frustration into the literal void. It's now very important to uncover the identity of Ruby Sunday's mother, especially given that Sutek is interested in the answer. The trio take the memory TARDIS on one final voyage to the dystopian future as shown in 73 yards. That's where evil Prime Minister Roger Ap Gwilym has instituted compulsory DNA testing to ensure the UK is a racially pure nation. Yes, it's a bit yikes. But it'll also give the Doctor the chance to identify who's Ruby's mother from the records. Once the information is on screen, they all pull back to Unit HQ in 2024 by Sutek, who is similarly curious. Sutek uses his power to pull the Doctor to the floor, threatening his life, unless Ruby shares the information held on the gizmo she's holding. But as she gets close to the pooch, she smashes the screen with the data on it and clips a piece of smart rope to Sutek's collar to ensnare him. I'm sorry for laughing through this one. The Doctor then whistles for the TARDIS to come back to him, where he and Ruby clip the other end of the lead to the console and dematerialize. Exactly. Then they take this giant evil alien dog on a walk through the time vortex, which something brings everyone back to life. Try not to think too hard about it and enjoy the arresting visual of the TARDIS dragging a giant evil dog through some nice CGI. There's then some words about the Doctor having to become a killer in order to stop Sutek killing. He casts Sutek into the vortex. Given that's what he did last time, I'm not sure why it's more successful now. But as I said, coherence was never the focus of the episode. Back at Unit HQ, with everyone revived and eating pizza, they're able to track down Ruby's mother. She got pregnant at 15 and gave her daughter up to avoid the reprisals from some sinister stepfather who may have harmed the child. But she never sought to track down her daughter afterward and didn't even tell the father of the child that she had a baby. As for why Sutek was interested in Ruby's mother, the Doctor says it's because people had invested time and emotion into her, which feels like Davies chiding the audience for focusing on questions he himself laced into the series for this purpose. And while I can see what Davies was trying to say, it's not as if he's played fair here, pointing a neon sign at Ruby saying that she was important. We don't know why she can bend reality to her will or make it snow whenever she thinks about her abandonment. We didn't obsess over this question because we apply meaning to meaningless things, but because the show and its characters ascribed meaning to them. The Doctor and Ruby stand outside a coffee shop where Ruby's mother is now sitting, drinking and staring at her phone. The Doctor suggests that since her mother never cared enough to look for her, she isn't interested in connecting. But Ruby is undeterred and walks in, orders a coffee, and sits on a big bench across from her mother, so that when the waiter calls her name, her mother looks up. From there, we see the Sundays catching up. But for all the wonders of the universe the Doctor wishes to see, this apparently joyful reunion isn't one of them, choosing to leave Ruby there. He says they'll meet again, but given he left his own granddaughter, he's just as likely he'll forget all about her. So off the TARDIS sets for pastures new. No companion leaves without a parting gift big enough to soothe the pain of being separated from the Doctor. In fact, on 2 separate occasions, a companion gets their own personal clone of David Tennant. Here, does Ruby get a happy ending by being reunited with her mother? Or is it her mother who gets the greatest of absolutions? She's never sought her daughter out, never looked to remedy the rupture, yet here she's welcomed with love. In fact, this episode provokes plenty of questions for me, including if it's okay for the people who abandon you to get to live their lives without the comfort of moving on. What about the weird twist that the Doctor kills Sutek but allows his wave of resurrection to reanimate planets full of evil beings? After all, Telos, one of the Cybermen's hangouts, gets name-checked as a place that has been saved. Maybe it's just better to remember that sometimes you need to turn your brain off and just feel Doctor Who. See you for the holiday special. Oh, and Mrs. Flood is disconnected from Sutek breaking the fourth wall at the end of the episode while dressed as a glam rock Mary Poppins. She tells the audience that the Doctor's ending is on the way and is delighted by the idea, further stoking thoughts that she's playing a long-standing villain. The obvious guess is, given Mrs. Flood is played by a woman, is that it'll be some future incarnation of Missy or the Rani. This guy's a fan, isn't he? This is a fan.
Yeah.
You can.
Can I just give you my long-suffering husband, given he's had to watch all the episodes, version of what he thinks is going to happen next?
Please do.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah, fantastic.
I just had a great idea. What if it turned out in a strange twist that Ruby Sunday was actually the Doctor and Shooty is the crybaby companion?
Oh, don't go there.
Oh.
No, my brain, man. I don't want any of that again. No.
He came in obviously very excited and then texted me it, so I thought I have to share it with you.
Was he very pleased with himself with that feeling?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Mainly because at the end of this episode, he was completely like, I didn't get any of that. I don't understand.
Oh, my goodness. That's what...
To be fair, that's better than the script, to be honest, but yeah.
Well, do you know what? There is always a twist in the tale. And we had all that bi-generation nonsense.
Yeah.
We had all that bi-generation nonsense. Anything with this version of our beloved show is possible. Do you know what I mean? It really is. As that article there has just proven there, actually, from Engadget there. So thank you for that one. And also thank you to Ren Bobson. Welcome to Who's Views. It's lovely to see you. And thank you so much for your £10. We really, really appreciate that. To be fair, I found the start really enjoyable until after the memory TARDIS. The end just had a lot of holes as well. Like, why didn't Sutek use the psychic powers we saw moments before to stop them? I forgot about that.
Yeah. But Sutek, for such a powerful being, seemed very helpless to do anything. That was the thing,
Yeah.
In the article, it said that they've gone to the switch your brain off. The script editor must have done that when they looked at it and said, "That's fine, Russell. There you go." Just
script editor?
Yeah, film it. Well, they are credited on the.
They are there. Yeah.
So.
I think they spend time just getting coffee, like in the show.
Yeah, they had the day off.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Austin is saying to us here, "Hey, listen. Suddenly the reviewers are getting sassy, but they're all still giving it 3 out of 5." Anthony McLennan is saying walkies. Also, just to let you know as well that RTD has said this is Sutek's final end. There is no way he's going to be back. This is it.
Yeah.
And Cute Pyro Zero, again, thank you so much for another £2. How to sum up Series 1. Did you know the Doctor is gay? Don't make me cry. Oh, no. Stephen is saying to us, thanks for that, Cute Pyro Zero. I've got to sleep tonight as well. And Gadget, that review is spot on. It is, Stephen, isn't it? It says it all. It really is a really good one with that one, I think. What did you guys think of that article?
Yeah.
Good.
And because he's a fan, when you see fans looking at it like that way, I mean, the way he wrote about it, it was very funny, but it was spot on.
He knew his references and he knew his continuity and everything else, and that came through in his writing. As opposed
he should be on the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd want anybody who would like all of us, question what was going on the official podcast.
Or have any knowledge of Doctor Who as well. That's
yeah.
So yeah.
Was the Doctor and Mel seen on the motorbike stolen from Tomorrow Never Dies? Very probably, and other things. It's also been done in Doctor Who before a couple of times, hasn't it? 1999 for the 96 thing, for example. And the keyring of Razalon is saying to us, I've read a lot of reviews since yesterday, and they are pretty much in agreement about the mess of nonsense and contradictions at the end. RTD is rushing to get to the soapy bits, not the sci-fi bits. That's my philosophy. It's all about now the soap opera bit. And this is why I've been saying, haven't I, guys, for quite a while on headlines, just get off Doctor Who, leave it alone, get back to Channel 4 and write what you want to there. We're going to be talking about that in headlines this week, so stay with us because he's got plans. Carwin is saying to us, so when the Doctor split the TARDIS with the hammer, did he split Sutek? That's exactly it, because there's another one down the road. Tennant's 14th. Yeah. Oh, I get confused.
If it was, it'd be like 2 Jack Russells, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But could that mean, oh, here we go. So could that mean that the one with Tennant down the road and Donna, is Sutek now still in there, or did Sutek collate himself?
He's just in the TARDIS like that, yeah, like Mr. Burns.
And how long were they? Well, how long was Sutek in power? Was it 10 minutes? Was it hundreds of years? Usually they would have a caption saying 1 year later or 1,000 years later. And I was waiting for that to say, well, where are we now? And they didn't. And I think he should have done, to help with the narrative of the story, to say 500 years later, to show that Sutek was an all-powerful being.
You're the narrative of the story.
That's a contradiction in terms of JT, definitely,
Yeah. Joe Egg, nice to see you, Joe Egg, love that. Does anyone really care who Ruby's mum is? No. And what an anticlimax, as a lot of people were saying. Austin Woods is saying magic rope, but enough about your private life. And Craig is saying to us, the 60th anniversary tribute was nice, but didn't belong here. Yeah, so there we go. Thank you very much for all that. Oh, look at all these chats this evening. You have been absolutely, as usual, fantastic. So brilliant. Well, this was, of course, as we all know, the last episode of the series. And you may all be sitting at home wondering, I wonder what the Whotastic panel are going to be doing next.
I wonder what the Who... I can't even say it now.
Yes.
Have a run at it.
Yeah. They are. You're all sitting at home thinking, what are we going to be doing next? Oh. The series may have finished, but we still have an awful lot to talk about. Join us next Sunday at 8 o'clock live here on Who's Views for It's Over in More Ways Than One. We're going to be doing a series overview. Oh, yes, we are. And we're going to be asking you in the chat, was this series worthy of that logo? Oh, yes. That's next week. So we're not quite finished yet. We're not quite finished with it yet. We are coming up to scores on the TARDIS doors right now as well. So, gosh, this is where we're at, everybody. Look at this before scores on the TARDIS doors. Space Babies, 3.5. The Devil's Board, 4.5. Boom, 21. 73 Yards, 29. Dot and Bubble, 19. Rouge, 6. And The Legend of Ruby Sunday got 25. So 73 Yards, the Dr. Light episode, is in the lead. All points out of 50 because the Whotastic panel, there's 5 of us. We get 10 points each. 73 Yards is leading. Who'd have thought that? Get it? Will the Empire of Death beat that? Let's find out. Okay, so this is where everybody in the chat, if you could start, please putting your scores on the TARDIS doors. It's out of 10. Julia? Yes. And Paul is saying to us here, look, 73 Yards was the best one. And this is Bill Dad. Hello, Bill Dad. Nice to see you. It's not worthy of any logo. But do come back and see us next week for that big season overview. We're going to have a big discussion about that. And yeah, then we can move on, I think. Right, so I'm going to start with, if I may, Paul, your scores on the TARDIS doors out of 10, please.
Well, there's a couple of bits in it I liked. I liked the look of Sutek. Wish it wasn't Sutek, like I said. I liked the bits with Bonnie looking adoringly at the Sixth Doctor's costume or cozying into Sylvester's jersey in the memory TARDIS. But I just thought this really wasn't Doctor Who. What a waste of a character, Sutek. So it was worse than last week. I'm going to give it 2.
Okay, so Paul's giving it a 2 out of 10. Third Doctor Ian, what are you going to give Empire of Death?
Convoluted, drawn out. I'm desperately trying not to swear.
He's from Yorkshire, everybody. It's very difficult.
So much stuff of promise with zero delivery. Incompetent writing. It wasn't the references to desecrating tombs. It was the desecration of an absolute classic. Showing again Tom Baker on screen at the same time as that non-doctor just highlights how much of a non-doctor he is. And it was just everything that Doctor Who isn't and shouldn't be. 0.
Okay, Ian, thank you. Jode, what about you for the scores on the TARDIS doors?
Yeah, oh God. I'm struggling with this one. I just thought it was complete twaddle. I'll give it 1 for Mel.
1 for Mel.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that on a t-shirt. And Kirsty, lady of the chat, what are you going to give this Empire of Death?
I'm struggling as well, and the nicest thing I can give is 2 because I think Millie Gibson's a wee cracker. Disappointed with Ruby's mum's thing. Mrs. Flood can get to. And Russell T. Davis can get to as well, but 2's the nicest thing. And I wish it could go back to being not under the woke virus and the virus of life right now. So, yeah.
Well said. Yeah, show business, you have the show business entertainment industry. The key word there being entertainment. You're supposed to entertain us, not lecture us. And one day, hopefully, we will see a return to those values, especially from the British Broadcasting Corporation and its partners. For myself, I was thoroughly bored with this episode. Thoroughly. I think I've made myself very clear throughout this particular episode of how much I did not enjoy it, how much I've just watched this thinking, what is this? I didn't like the fact that they did what they did with Sutek when it should have been a brand new villain. And as we've said there before, they don't do that. I'm going to give it a very generous 1, and that's for Bonnie. 1 out of 10 for that. So that takes us to a 6, if my mental arithmetic is correct. 6 for the Empire of Death. We will be looking at those scores again next week on our overview. Let's get into the chat. You have been brilliant tonight, as ever, everybody. Thank you so much for all your comments. Robert Payne is giving it a 2. We could be here for some time, guys. Get ready for this. Robert's giving it a 2 out of 10. Carmen is giving it a -3. Rick Storm, 0. We've had more zeros with this brand new spanking multi-million-pound dollar, whatever you want to call it, version of Doctor Who than any of the other stories of Doctor Who we've covered on this channel. And this is the one that's had all the money thrown at it. What Doctor Who fans have sort of wanted for decades. And it's a flop. This is a flop. RTD, Bad Wolf, Disney, BBC Studios, flop, flop, flop. Anyway, #flop. What else we got here? Paul is saying to us here, Paul Hoggett is saying he's just dragging the Tom Baker era through the mud. The logo, a classic story, and even clips featuring Tom. John is saying to us 0, and that is generous. Oh, gosh. Problem Being is joining with us. Hello, mate. Thank you for joining us. It's not Doctor Who, so there we go. Julianne. Hiya, Julianne. 0. The other Ibrahim, nice to see you. Thank you very much for your email. This is 0 as well. Jamie is giving it a 4 out of 10 and a meh. Yeah, okay. Mike is giving it, the series got the ending it deserves, 0 out of 10. Thistle Beaks is saying score 1 out of 10. It was somehow worse than Rogue. Yeah, actually, somehow. I think you're right on that one.
You never kissed Sutek, though. I was looking forward to
that. Aaronite 1 is saying 1. 2 for Bonnie, says Gilliam. Yay for Bonnie. Again, oh, bless Bonnie. I love Bonnie to bits, and she's back in the series when it's going downhill. Noel, editorial comment. Noel Thrussell, 1 out of 10. The 1 is for Bonnie. Craig is saying to us, Craig Carroll is saying to us, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids, says Sutek. Melanie Weston Investigates is saying 1. Hugh Janus is giving it a 0. Sean Cryer giving it a big 0. The King of Rassilon is being really good and giving it 5. And Charge in Malozzo, I can't say that, I'm sorry, mate, but you know who you are, 0. Lynn Hobday is giving it 2.5. Paul Ashworth, what's that? 0.73. I think that's right. Goodness me. Oh, that's pretty bad. Matthew Pounder, -1. Lisa, hello, Lisa, 0. Dalek, I love you, 0000. And not worthy to be called Doctor Who. Never mind the logo. Join us again next week for that conversation. Rick Storm is giving it all these zeros. John Mason is giving it 0. Thank you, John. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Austin is saying 2 out of 10, 1 for Bonnie and 1 for Murray Gold, although he's done better. I can't remember any of his music this year.
No,
not one
no.
element. Not one. Maybe somebody did tell him, tone it down. 21st Century Boy, Jason's giving it 2 out of 10, and Richard Hussey is giving it 1 for Bonnie Langford and the OK special effects. The rest of the episode was total pants. Cute Pyro 0 is that they butchered Sutek, 0 out of 10. This is the reason you can't bring back bad enemies, old enemies or villains anymore. 1 out of 10 from James Thumuk. We'll never watch this season again. It gets worse upon rewatch. The other Ibrahim, 3 out of 3 for Mel, and Ruby, 0 out of 10 for Emperor of Death. Anthony, thank you, Anthony. Anthony McLennan's giving it 3 out of 10. And problem being is giving it a big fat 0, just like RTD. Richard Hussey is giving it 1. Oh, I think we heard to you, Richard, didn't we? And Backup is saying, I'll throw it a bone for Bonnie, 1. Bonnie's popular still, everybody. Steve Hindley is giving it a 0. And Doug is saying to us here, 2 out of 10, and that's generous, like the Whotastic panel was saying to you. Graham, I've not seen it, but it sounds even worse than the previous 7 that were all awful. I have to say, I wouldn't recommend going back and watching any of this series. I'm going to say to you, go to see how wrong we are or how much you agree with it. It's not good television. It's just very lazy television. I wouldn't recommend it to a blind
mediocre. Yeah.
Boring. Duck Soup Productions score nothing, not 0, zilp, zitch, nada, zippity doo dah. I think that's a 0 then, guys. Do you?
I think so, yeah.
Seems like that.
Yeah. Pat Butcher said Rick Storm, topical. It didn't have an empire in it. I was expecting a certain person to turn up in a black cape and a mask, to be quite honest, but that's crossing the universes there. Java Bean, hello to you, mate. Fan fiction, the show was finished a long time ago. We need to collectively walk away from this show and just embrace the proper show now. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing on Who's Views. Philip Roy, 3 for Bonnie's performance and a nice scooter scene. Yeah, I'm sure you like that because there's one in your film as well, isn't there? I've noticed. Well done. Just Jordan is saying to us here, Dad gives it 3 out of 10, 3 points for it ending. He was bored.
I fell asleep.
I know, yeah, you fell asleep. I'm giving it 1 out of 10 and 0.5 points each for Kate and Mel. Okay, the Bonnie bit, says Stephen, were the only good bits, but I cannot get over how they humiliated Sutek, so it's a big fat 0. Let's have a look what else we've got here. Can I give it a -10, says Craig Carroll. Yeah, go on. It's fine. I've lost count now, so it's absolutely fine. And Simon L is saying to us, exactly what I thought, Paul. It was worse than last week. And where was the shocker promise from RTD? This was such a letdown. All right, I'm going to call this a day in a minute, everybody, so get your scores in now if you want to take part. Bill Dad is saying all that. Thank you for that one. What else? And Joe Egg is saying, this season of Doctor Who has been even worse than The Acolyte. Oh, that's saying something, isn't it, really? I think it's on a par. But solidarity with the Star Wars fans. And Raymond Williams, RTD is just phoning it in. He's taking the money and running. It was awful. 2 out of 10, a point each for Bonnie and Millie. And Daryl Joyce is saying to us, -100. It was an extremely poor conclusion to a bad serial and worse, misunderstands its source material. And this is an insult to Robert Holmes. Yeah. Here. Here. God bless him as well. Can you? Oh, God, I'm so glad he's not here to see this. Isn't that awful of me to say that? But I wouldn't have liked him to have seen that at all. 6 out of 50. Oh, right, 6 out of 10 Austin Woods. Yeah, that's fine. You might want to read about this. It's out of 10, mate, but we'll take that. Thank you so much, Austin. Thanks for playing. I'd rather step on a Lego, says Barry. We can arrange that. Craig Carroll is saying, can't wait for next season. He's joking for the podcast people. And Data Debaser is saying here 3 out of 10. Mark is saying, says Mark Milford, 1 for Bonnie for creating my happiest new Doctor Who moment this year, knowing it's over till Christmas. And #flop from YW2324 starts here. Hashtag Flopstart here on Who's Views Reviews. And J. Crow is saying 2 for me, 1 for Bonnie Langford and 1 for Millie Gibson. The rest wasn't worth rating. Oh, bless. This is sad, guys, isn't it? Cybermat Strikes is with us saying it's 3 out of 10. Hello, nice to see you. Terry Tees, 2.5. And Digby Strawbridge is giving it an overgenerous 0. Oh, I hope they're watching. I hope you're watching this and you're happy with yourselves, you absolute loons. Marjorie's giving it a 10 for Bonnie. Bless. Thank you, Marjorie. But that's just for Bonnie, not for the story or anything else, just for Bonnie. 10 for Bonnie. And Paul Holgate is saying 2 for Millie Gibson's low-cut top. And then he says, sorry, I'll get my mind out the gutter. You really are. Dot Martin, the definite article is saying 1 out of 10 just for Bonnie, showing how it's done. She certainly had a hold of the character, didn't she? And she knew how to relate to this new version of the Doctor. She was quite, over the 2 episodes, she was quite happy to put this version in his place. It was though she was getting quite bored with this one, or quite agitated with this one. And she was with 6 and 7. So, you know, so this one I felt was getting on a wick a bit.
And what's quite nice to see her as a villain as well. Having a chance to play a villain, that was quite nice.
No, because people don't cast Bonnie Langford as a baddie.
Yeah, give her a chance to stretch her muscles a bit.
Yeah, she can do it there. She was quite good. She would have scared the kiddies. Humans Call Me Steve, 0, and Digby Strawbridge, -5. Stuart Barham, 0.5. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, everybody that's giving you your scores in there. And Van Zan is saying to us, there are no numbers low enough in value to accurately sum up this limpness. Why did I think of Mr. Spock when I was reading that out there for you? Yes. But thank you for that, Van Zan. Nice to see you. Problem being is saying to us, poor Bonnie, always in Doctor Who when it's about to get cancelled. The writing is on the wall, I feel. XSM is saying 0, and Barry Stroud is also saying 2 out of 10, 1 for Bonnie and 1 for Millie's top. Domgo is saying 0, and Java being yes, even the shills hate this. We did look at that very briefly earlier on. You'll see that when you go back playing up. He's just got up. And Hyman is saying 0 out of 10 because of everything and bringing back a past enemy only to kill the past off. Yeah. Very coherent scores there, I think, everybody, isn't it? I mean, gosh, that's where we are. That was it. 8 weeks, everybody.
It feels longer.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it, though? Yeah. It does, really. We've got through it, though, everybody. That was it. That was 8 weeks of this brand new multi-million-pound, multi-million-dollar version of our favourite and beloved Doctor, Time Lord TV show. Thank you so much for everybody that has joined us over these 8 weeks. Thank you to everybody that has subscribed to the channel. Thank you to everyone that has given us these wonderful new things that we're starting to do called super chats. Very bizarre. I still think of all these chats with capes flying around the place when I say that, but that's that. Lots coming up for you. This week on the channel, we've got plenty of headlines for you, including our very special edition headline where I get to interview the one and only author and journalist Gareth Roberts. You will know the name. Doctor Who writer, not anymore. We're going to be talking about his latest book that's out and available now, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget, we'll be back here live on the channel next Sunday with our season overview of all this crap, this stuff that we've had to deal with, where we've had this little bit of time to look at all 8 episodes, and we're going to come back and give you our favourite moments.
That'll be a short show.
Or not the very favorite moments. Come and tune in with that. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at all the ratings and everything like that. To Paul, to Third Doctor Ian, to Jodie, and to Kirsty Lady of Chat, thank you so much yet again for coming to join me for this particular edition of the show. Hope you've enjoyed it this evening.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, we have. It's lovely.
Thanks.
And it's been fabulous to see you all, as I say, in the chat. Stay with us because we'll be back for more. The series may have finished, but yeah, we haven't quite finished talking about it yet. And guess what? It's going to be back very soon, sooner than you may think. Until we see you next time on Who Views. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, isn't that fabulous? Thank you for that. And yes, thank you for all the chats there. Good night, everyone. Take care. Bye, everyone.